Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, alongside my guys, Mr. Jaevon Toddy, Mr. Kaz Johnson of Kazzy Bear TV. Kevin Denton is unable to join us tonight, but we will see him next week. And Toddy, we will be having a special guest joining us very soon. And so if you could unmute yourself and let us know, who do we got coming on the program today?
My bad. Sorry. We got Kyle. He's trying to cousin. My boy Kyle he's trying to get in. So he's figuring out. He kind of sounds like a baby boomer. I got what's my password, Sonny? You know how that is. But yeah, we're feeling good. College football was a hell of a ride this past week, and I'll definitely say that. Lots to get into. NFL starting. I got to load up my Sunday ticket. I got to get my red zone, as most of us probably are. Well, some people probably don't get it, the whole package. If you're a guy like me who gambles, you have to be watching every single game. So we got to get all that squared away by this Sunday, but feeling good. Hotline went 3-1. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was a really great start to the season for the Hotline with week 1 of the college football season, since I guess Florida State and Georgia Tech in Ireland was week 0. So officially week 1 in college football, the Hotline did really well. We got a lot of picks coming for the Hotline in the middle of today's show. But before we get there, Kaz, how are we doing this week?
Not too bad, man. I kind of put myself in a bit of a pinch entering week 1 of the NFL season. I forgot that I'm bartending a wedding. And that's on Friday.
Oh,
you guys know who plays on Friday. Yeah.
Eagles for sure.
So I'm guest bartending at a wedding for a friend of mine. And I just did not. I mean, we had this planned out months ago, of course.
Months ago.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not thinking about the schedule, not like that. I'm like, what are the odds of
that there's going to be a Friday night NFL game?
Yeah, a Friday wedding. I'm like, this is cool. I'm saying on the Sunday. It's around the time when the season's going to start. And then of course it's the Eagles in Brazil. We play right at the start of the night, and that's prime hours for the reception. Yep. So I hope they're cool with it. But my phone is going to be hoisted up somewhere.
Have to.
I'm gonna do my job, but I'm playing fantasy football. I'm sports betting. I am watching this game. There's everything. No way in hell I'm missing a snap. I don't care. They won't, but if you need to, fire me. I'm watching that first game.
Are you gonna have the one AirPod in the ear? Are you gonna one AirPod it?
And just probably something like that, yeah.
Or are you just gonna go no sound, phone up on the bar?
I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably do just no sound and just have the phone hoisted up, because they already made it kind of easy for me. It's not an open bar where I have to actually, mix a bunch of drinks. They have like certain drinks already pre-made. I'm just pouring. So they have, beer kegs. That's easy. They got like some mixed drinks that, from what I was told, they're already going to be pre-mixed and whatever. So all I got to do is just keep pouring. So it might not be that bad, but I think there's about 250 people at this wedding. So either way, there's going to be football fans there anyways with their phones.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's probably people at the wedding that would want to.
Come on. Yeah. It's not like this is like some 40-year-old man getting married. This guy's in his mid-20s. He's watching football. So
is there any TVs accessible at this wedding?
There might be. I wouldn't be surprised, because he's a big sports guy. So it's like, come on, man. Like, if I was at a wedding, if I had a wedding and there's a game on, I'm having that game on for the crowd, bro. That's just the way it is. As a true sports lover, my wife would have to just deal with that and their family. The game is going to be on a huge projector. Like, I'm not talking just a small TV. I'm talking on a huge projector in the middle of the wedding. The reception. So yeah.
So Kevin, we'll see. Our boy Kevin got married about 2 years ago. His anniversary, I believe, is tomorrow. He got married on a Saturday during the Ohio State, I believe it was Notre Dame game. And I for sure had money on this game. And his reception is going on. I'm sitting in the back. Got the phone propped up. Got the phone. Phone is propped up. I'm the guy I'm keeping track. Drove 8 hours to Oregon to go see this wedding.
Wow.
Like, this wasn't something.
Real friend.
This is real life. So I was made aware of the game was going to be going on at the same time as the reception. So I'm in the back. His mom is giving a speech, crying. Her eyes out. I got the phone. Donna Brown.
Touchdown!
She is
Stop.
She is deep into how much I love you, Kevin. And I got Notre Dame, Ohio State propped up on the phone. We're locked in, though. We're locked in both ways. Sophia is my witness. But
I mean, it is what it is.
this is what happens when you have fall
it
weddings.
is.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
Kaz, do not be surprised if there's going to be a handful of people, phone in hand, phone propped up somewhere while the reception is going on.
Everybody's playing fantasy football. You don't have to like the Eagles or the Packers. Everybody's playing fantasy football.
Yeah,
and it's just a good game. We're gonna get a taste of the Chiefs and Chiefs in Baltimore the day before, and then everything's gonna be itching for that next game. And it's Philly Packers. So I think that I'm gonna text him after the show tonight. I'm gonna be like, hey man, so you know the Eagles play, right, brother? You know me, bro. So it's like, yeah, let me go ahead and get. I'm gonna do my job. You know what I'm saying? Work comes first. I understand that, but I'm watching this Eagles game.
It's getting it with betting and fantasy,
everything.
You can watch the game on your phones now. It's kind of hard not to watch the games at all.
There's too much on the line, and as you should, honestly. And I wouldn't be surprised if throughout the game, and especially as the game gets late, there starts to become a huddle just around your one phone screen.
People start to figure out that you got the game on, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's winning. He's got the game on. Come over here."
I might go ahead and just get an iPad and bring it and make it a little bit bigger. Right. Got
even better.
On my phone, have a little iPad right here, So yeah,
even better. And
some iPads don't need Wi-Fi. You could just have the
screen share.
Yeah, you can
from your phone. Yeah,
you already knows what it is. This guy's a genius.
Man, I'm on top of it, man. many years of UFC fights that we don't have the fights at the bar I used to work at when I used to bartend. And I'm like, don't worry, I'll get it on the screen for you. Totally illegal, by the way. You guys, and they just do the whole share play on the Roku TV or the Apple TV or whatever you had in the bar or whatever, and from my phone. And you're not supposed to do that. Bars and restaurants pay an arm and a leg to get like pay-per-view stuff in their.
Shouldn't the bar have the fight though? Like they should have the fight.
No, there's like some sort of rule based off your seating in your business. You cannot just have you can pay. So there's in-home pay-per-view and there's like if you're a business, it costs a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Yes, it the same thing with like the NFL ticket and stuff like that. It's not just like, oh, I have the ticket, just log in or whatever, anything like that, or just it's linked to your cable. If you're in a bar, it's a lot or a restaurant, it's a lot of money.
It's extra.
That's why B-Dubs makes a killing. Like they spend a lot of money.
Bars make so much money when they have like all the football games going on.
It's like I think it's based off of your capacity and the amount of seats you have in there.
Yeah.
So something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that.
So now, Toddy, if you could, please introduce our special guest for us.
This is a guy he came in hot. We invited him to the fantasy group chat. He came in and he was talking this shit. He's a Seahawks fan. He's a great friend of mine. This is our guy, cousin friend Kyle, is joining.
How's it going, y'all?
He is also going to go D1 for baseball pretty soon.
That's awesome.
There we go. W success, bro.
Appreciate
100%.
you, fellas.
Welcome to the pod. We appreciate you for joining us, Kyle. Even though you're a Seahawks fan, we appreciate you for joining us. So I'm not sure if you heard any of the discussion that we were having in the first couple 15 minutes, but I got to ask, fair or foul? Toddy was at our guy Kevin's wedding, sitting in the back with the Ohio State Notre Dame game on. fair or foul that he was watching during Kevin's mom's speech? I say fair because the ears are to hear the speech. The eyes are for the screen.
Honestly, I mean, he was there though, so I mean, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt too. He was just trying to watch the game, so
Drove 8 hours. Love you,
hey,
Kev.
that's what I'm saying. Hold up.
Yep, exactly. And so now that Kyle's here with us, guys, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into college football season beginning, because the headliners from this past weekend were Georgia, Notre Dame, and USC, who all won their respective top 25 matchups. Jaevon, obviously, you are a USC fan, loud and proud, and so we will definitely get to the Trojans. But the number one team in the nation, the Georgia Bulldogs, beat number 14 Clemson 34-3, made it look real easy. Even though the Ohio State Buckeyes, the number 2 team in the nation, played Akron, they did handle them 52-6, as well as Oregon beating Idaho in a close one, 24-14. And then we get to Notre Dame and Texas A&M in College Station. Notre Dame comes away with a 23-13 win. Bit of revenge for Riley Leonard against his former coach at Duke, Mike Elko, who is now with the Aggies. And then we see on Sunday Night Football, before the NFL officially gets started, number 23 USC beats number 13 LSU 27-20. So, Toddy, I'm going to kick things off with you because aside from the Florida State game that's going on right now on Monday Night Football, the Sunday Night Football game was really what we were left off with from the weekend. And so just how did you feel about that top 25 win for your Trojans?
Miller Moss, Heisman candidate. He's thrown his hat into the Heisman race. All offseason, we kind of just heard how, USC can put up however amount of points, but they can't stop a nosebleed. With the hiring of DeAnthony Lynn, the son of Anthony Lynn, who is, I think he was one of the Niners, I think, assistant head coaches last year. I'm not sure where he is now. But defense is balls to the wall now. Only held them to 20 points last night. USC, our offense is elite. We have elite quarterback play. I think our receiving core is top notch. When you got guys like Kyron Hudson and Jacoby Lane, we just got dudes pretty much everywhere on offense. You got Lincoln Riley, the mad scientist, scheming up plays for us. LSU, however, the receiver, Kyron Lacey, was basically the number 3 receiver last year, under Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. He was kind of like the guy that flew under the radar, but he's now the number 1 receiver. He caught like 4 passes on the first drive, which was insane. I think Garrett Nussberger played pretty well. I think he's an NFL talent. I just thought USC got key stops. LSU got to the red zone and only 3 trips that they got to the red zone, they scored 6 points. And I think last year, if this were USC's defense last year, that would have been 21 points. USC can now tackle, which is amazing. I think we being the USC Trojans, definitely have a shot in the Big Ten and have a shot to make the college football playoff. I think it's I thought this was going to be an 8-4-ish, 9-3 team. And one of those toss-up games was definitely this first game, the LSU game. And we kind of came in there and we handled business. I was very excited to see that we can tackle now. And I already knew the offense was going to put up points. It always just came down to, can the defense get stops? And the defense generated multiple stops last night. And that's really all the Trojans need, is to have a fighting chance. Because last year, Caleb was out there by himself, having to score 35-plus points a game, which is pretty insane. Like, hey, Caleb, for us to win, we need you to throw 5 touchdowns and 400 yards every single game. And that's damn near impossible for any quarterback. So I think the defense played pretty well. And if the defense can just live up to that same potential, we'll be a contender for the college football playoff.
Kyle, which game stood out to you this weekend? Was it this game between the Trojans and the Tigers of LSU, or was it the Tigers of Clemson getting throttled by the Georgia Bulldogs, or even was it Texas A&M and Notre Dame, or a game that we haven't talked about yet? What stood out to you from this weekend?
So I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was pretty busy this weekend. I didn't really get a big chance to catch the college football matchups this week. But I did see a couple of the highlights. I saw Alabama, which I like a lot from Alabama. They're both their good running backs. They got Jam Miller and I can't remember the other dude's name, the starting Haynes. But
Yeah, Alabama, I
to
think
use
they
him
put up
again.
like 63 points in that game. They started a bunch of freshmen in the secondary. They think it's something Williams, Ryan Williams.
Yeah, that 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, 17-year-old kid, Ryan Williams, had like 2 touchdowns, true freshman. Dude is a dog. He'll be one of those guys in the SEC.
17 years old.
Yeah, 17 years old. He had like 100 and some yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a dog.
He should have been a Texas A&M Aggie, but I digress.
It's a cold world.
Wow,
But Alabama, I think Jalen Milroe only threw like 9 passes in that game, and he threw for like 200 yards. So it was pretty wrapped up pretty quick. But Kalen DeBoer and that offense, what it's going to look like, you kind of saw a sneak preview of it, of what it can look like and what Jalen Milroe will look like in that offense. I think it'll be very interesting to see what he'll look like being a better passer downfield with the football.
Yeah, and when it comes to the Texas A&M and Notre Dame game, I just wanted to talk about that for a minute, just because I write for a website called Aggies Wire for USA Today, and so I'm not quite a casual when it comes to Texas A&M. I have a little bit of knowledge, but I'm not far off the casual radar, as proved last week when I couldn't properly pronounce Aeneas Smith's name, new Philadelphia Eagle. Toddy, did I get it right, or did I struggle on that one too? Anais. See, still can't do it.
That's Kaz's boy.
Yeah, it's Kaz's boy. Because now, buddy. I mean, he's starting the year.
Because people are Eagles doesn't mean they're my boy. Okay, we got to figure some stuff out first and foremost. All right, we're gonna see.
Yeah, and he's starting the year out on the injured reserve. But Kaz, before I get to the Notre Dame and Texas A&M game that I wanted to speak about, was there anything that stood out to you from college football? Because I know that college football isn't quite your bag like the NFL is, but from the opening weekend, were there any games or performances that stood out to you?
I'll give my one little hot college take right here. I watched the Iowa game. I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying my best to lock in and.
Wasn't it like 12-0 or 12 something like at halftime?
Sounds like a Hawkeyes game.
6-0 ended up being 40-0.
Yeah.
So everybody on all my socials around here, because we're all just a bunch of corn-fed crybabies, we're all like, "Yep, typical Iowa football, going to be like a 9-0 game, and maybe might even lose and end up winning 40-0." So I definitely tapped into that the best that I could. On Saturdays, I'm pretty busy. With just like personal training and stuff like that. It's Saturdays are kind of my day to kind of get a lot of my actual work stuff done. So not only do I already not have any loyalty towards college football, I'm usually always doing something on Saturdays. So I just kind of chimed in, checked some things out just to give it the old college try. I'm trying, I'm like, maybe it'll click someday. Maybe I'm gonna fall in love with this someday. Maybe I'm gonna, root for the Hawkeyes because I live here, or maybe I'll root for my hometown or home state team, the Illinois Fighting Illini. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. I pretty much just read Twitter and look up the highlights, and the only thing that really stood out to me that had me jumping out of my chair was that pick that like went around the whole world. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, the one-handed catch. I think
that was a crazy. That was like probably the second craziest interception I've ever seen. The first one was the one from I think 2 or 3 years ago. There's another college interception. It was like nuts. I can't remember who it was.
Was it?
I don't know. You would know. It was insane. It was like debatably like the best pick of all time. And I think the guy picked it off. Yeah, they picked it off like this, I think.
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
It might have been the dude from Oklahoma. I forget what his name is, but I think I remember that game.
Yeah, that was like a few years back. And I saw this. I'm like, I watched that pick so many times, and I was like, dog, he got up. And to catch it the way that he caught it, I'm like, I try to I do this because I'm an idiot, but I try to kind of mimic it on my bed to see if I could do it. I'm like, I'm pretty athletic. How? You know what I'm saying? How did he do that? So that was pretty much the extent of my college viewership. I'm on Twitter a lot. My homie Isley, he be in the chat sometime. He's a big Texas guy, Longhorns guy. So I kind of tapped in there. I saw the Ewers kid, have a pretty solid game. He was talking him up. He mentioned Arch Manning getting in there, getting some fourth quarter play a little bit because Texas obviously handled business. But other than that, no, I just pretty much paid attention to the Iowa Hawkeyes game, and that was pretty much it. As for the games that you guys did have mentioned, I did just look up some stats just to kind of get my think piece on those, just based off what I've seen. And I just want to know, I'm going to ask Toddy, I'll ask you, Shaun, or maybe Kyle's, big on USC and LSU, but how big of a deal is it that USC beat LSU by 7? Because, early on, usually the big schools, the big SEC schools, what I'm saying, the Pac-12 schools, whatever, and Big Ten schools, they usually beat up on the little schools. It's usually, 50. We talked about it last week, 56-0 or like 70-3. It's like, then I look at this game and it's like, okay, LSU, I know they got some studs there. They usually have studs every year for the most part. And then USC beats them by 7. So like, I really want to know, how big of a deal is that? Is it just week 1 college hype, or is that like a massive leap forward for USC?
So LSU was favored by 4 points this game. I'd say like a month before the season, they were favored by a touchdown. The line continuously just kept dropping throughout the whole summer. You got guys, everybody on top, all of like the college football talk radio guys, Paul Feinbaum said that Lincoln Riley, the head coach for USC, was a joke and that he was going to get fired by the end of the year because basically USC couldn't stop anybody. I'd say USC was the butt of everybody's joke the entire offseason because a report came out saying that USC tried to reschedule this game, basically saying we were running, we didn't want to play them the first game of the season. But usually I'd say the Big Ten, or not the Big Ten, the SEC is kind of known for being the inferior conference, the best conference for college football. And then I'd say the Big Ten is second, but I feel like now the Big Ten and the SEC aren't far off based off of realignment, because there's a bunch of teams like USC leaving their respective conferences to join other conferences. And I feel like college now is kind of becoming the NFL with AFC and NFC, and I feel like those two conferences are the Big Ten and SEC, and those are going to be your AFC, NFC, and with NIL, everything's starting to change. Players are getting paid now. TV contracts are just massive. So the college landscape is changing right before our eyes. It's kind of turning into like a amateur NFL, if that makes sense, but they're getting paid now. So it's not amateurism because guys are getting paid. So I'd say it's a huge deal because USC hasn't really been good for, I'd say for the better half of out of it, except for 1 year, which was 2 years ago when Caleb Williams won the Heisman. That year we should have went to the playoff. We lost to Utah twice. But pretty much.
Wait, hold on. Then who after? Who after Utah? Who'd you lose to in the bowl game?
We lost Tulane in the I don't even know whatever bowl it was. But pretty much since then, USC, since like Reggie Bush, has been irrelevant. And so now it's like they're starting to come back. And there are other teams like Miami who had a great weekend as well. They won as a blowout, and they used to be really good long time ago with Ed Reed and guys like Sean Taylor and Santana Moss, all those guys. When they were good, they're starting to they look like they have a really good team now. So I'd say the reason why it's a big deal is because USC hasn't really been good in a long time. So yeah, that was my little soliloquy. College football.
I got you. Yeah, I was just curious. I was like, man, because just like in the NFL, it's like week 1 comes around and we're just all happy for football to be back. So it's like we see anything, we overhype it. And I'm always like, okay, now wait a minute. Are we overhyping it, or is this actually a big deal? Like, for example, if the Ravens come out and beat the Chiefs week 1, and I know we're gonna get that later on, that's a big freaking deal. But then if you got a game like, I don't know, we'll say Minnesota and New York Giants, whoever wins that game is not really saying much. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, kudos for going 1-0, but it's like, who did you really beat? You beat the quarterbackless Minnesota Vikings or the New York Giants, who probably is the worst team in the NFC East. So I don't know. I just wanted to ask that because I saw your tweets. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, I was live on Twitter last night.
Toddy hot.
I was live on Twitter last night.
Yeah, he was certainly excited about it, and you should be, because the thing about those Caleb Williams years, as you said, Toddy, is that if they actually had a defense, then they might have been a real contender. But if Caleb Williams is going to score 40 points and your team's still going to lose, that's obviously a problem. And so now getting to this Notre Dame and Texas A&M game, because going into it, Notre Dame should have probably been favored as the number 17 in the nation, going against the number 20 team in the nation on their home field. But Texas A&M was favored by, actually, I can look over at the hotline from last week, by 2.5 points. And you could have gotten minus 125 odds on that. And then Notre Dame ultimately goes on to win by 10 points. So that's a 12.5 point difference. And for me, the reason why the Aggies lost this game is because Connor Weigman struggled in his first game in the Colin Klein offense, because Colin Klein was running fast tempo, and that's what he's trying to institute. But Weigman, he was 12 of 30 for 100 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The 1 touchdown came from Le'Veon Moss, who is taking over for Reuben. I always want to say Reuben Foster because of the former 49ers linebacker, but his last name is escaping me right now. His first name is Reuben. He's out for the year. He was Texas A&M's number 1 running back that now Le'Veon Moss has taken over. But Weigman has had so much hype. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, got hurt in the 3rd, 4th game last year, missed the rest of the season, and everyone's saying, oh, he's going to be so great. And then Riley Leonard didn't even have that much better of a game, 18 of 30, so he completed 6 more passes, 158 yards, so he threw for 58 more yards, but Leonard didn't have a touchdown. He also didn't have an interception. And this game, very similar to the Iowa one that Kaz was describing, even though this game was 6-6 going into halftime, it was still very low scoring. No touchdowns were scored yet. And it was right there for the taking, and the Aggies weren't able to do it. And to me, it had a lot to do with Connor Weigman. But we can move on from here and focus on this upcoming week, unless any of you guys have anything that you want to add. But Connor Weigman, to me, just seems overrated. And again, I'm a guy who writes for a Texas A&M website. I'm still not that locked in on Texas A&M, but there's just been so much hype about this guy, and he looked very pedestrian to me. Notre Dame could end up having a top 5 defense in college football this year across the nation, but Connor Weigman did not look good at all in this game. And so, I mean, Toddy, you're kind of the college football expert on this panel. What do you think of Connor Weigman?
So I think he broke his foot or something last year. Max Johnson came in, and he was Max Johnson way better than this. This was fucking atrocious. The way that he played this weekend was god awful. Could not complete it. I think it was 4 of 13 for his downfield
passes over 5 yards. Yeah,
it was fucking embarrassing. And Riley Leonard wasn't even that good either, because he'll look at one read and he'll take off running. I feel like that was the difference of the game. Him being able to escape the pocket and avoid sacks, and him be able to scramble for first downs. That was kind of what kept Notre Dame in the game. And their defense obviously forced 2 turnovers. Weigman could not complete a fucking pass to save his life. And it was bro, the running game wasn't even that bad either. And I thought that they could have mixed it up with the play calling on first down. They just kept running it on first down. And I felt like that was kind of something that Notre Dame will look forward to. But it was embarrassing, because we had a hot week on the hotline, and all A&M had to do was just if he could just complete passes. There was a 4th and 8 where he just threw the ball out of bounds because he thought he had a free play, and I'm just what are we doing? What are we even looking at? It got to a point where I was just you need a new quarterback at this point. I get it's week 1, but it's you can't. These are the games that you have to win if you want to win. If you want to get into the college football playoff, these are games that you have to win. And it just seemed like Notre Dame was free money, because they were plus money, and they're going to be favored in pretty much every game that they play for the rest of the season. So I felt like this would have been the best price you would have got them at this season, unless you bet them live, obviously. But yeah. They won the turnover battle, and their quarterback didn't even throw a touchdown pass, and they won the game by 10 points on the road at Kyle Field, which is the Kyle Field is literally the hardest. It seats 107,000 people. That's the most in college football. So I mean, you
Mhm.
can only imagine what the atmosphere is like. So, I mean, that's just me. I'm just a guy who bet on sports and picked the wrong fucking team apparently.
Well, you nailed it with that analysis, even though that was your only of 4 picks from last week that didn't hit on the hotline. But 75% of the picks hitting, I think that's a damn good percentage. And you really nailed it when it came to the Texas A&M analysis. The only thing I'll add to that is, may I nominate Marcel Reed as the new starting quarterback of the Texas A&M Aggies, because I may be new
I thought
to
their
Texas
defense
A&M.
played well. Like A&M's defense played good. Like they were
Yeah,
able to
they
get,
did.
they were able to get more possessions for Wegman, like more chances for him to, try and make something happen. But I mean, can't play offense and defense. So I mean, he just has to play better, bro. It's not.
Yeah, he definitely does. And Texas A&M is supposed to have a top 5 defensive line in the nation this year. And so if they're getting that kind of production, but then they're being brought down by the quarterback, which is the exact opposite of what your Trojans used to deal with, where they were getting so much production from the quarterback, but the defense was lacking. Now it's the opposite. Through week 1, it's the opposite for the Aggies. And I may be still a casual when it comes to Texas A&M football, just because I started writing for this website back in December. So I only saw their bowl game. But the one thing I saw in that bowl game is that because Jaden Henderson got hurt on the first play, I'm pretty sure it was the very first play of the game. If not, it was the first drive. He gets hurt. So then Marcel Reed comes in as a true freshman in that bowl game last year, and they still lost to Oklahoma State. But Marcel Reed looked good in that game. He showed his versatility in that game. And that's something that I was not seeing from Connor Wegman in this game. And so it might become a hot seat for Connor Wegman coming up if the Aggies can't get going here early in the Mike Elko era. But guys, as we keep things moving here on episode 111 of Stats Over Politics, I did want to ask you all about one game that's coming up in college football this upcoming week. And it is a top 10 matchup as the number 4 Texas Longhorns travel to Ann Arbor, Michigan to take on the reigning, defending national champion Wolverines. And so, Kyle, I'm going to start things off with you on this one. Where are you leaning in this game? Are you going to go with the national champions, who are kind of in a rebuild, or the Longhorns, who seem to be national title or bust this year?
I for surely think the Longhorns definitely have even though Michigan won last year, I feel like the Longhorns are too good of a team. I feel like this is definitely their year to make something happen.
Yeah, I think it's now or never for them. I mean, they do have Arch Manning coming down the pike, but they got to cash in with Quinn Ewers, who is such a great talent, so much so that he was able to basically take a year to go to Ohio and get some NIL money before it was legal across the country. All power to him. He made $3 million to not play. But then Kaz, he ends up going to Texas, which is where he wanted to go all along. But because it was legal to get NIL money in 2021, 2022, Toddy, you could correct me on that, but it was 2021, 2022 when Quinn Ewers spent a year with the Buckeyes, cashed in on some dealership deals, and then he went right back to Texas, where he was going to be all along. But Kaz, I know that you mentioned a major pump fake, and all power to him. I mean, good for him. If I could do that exact same thing, I would do it as well. But Kaz, I know that you mentioned earlier, you said that a friend of yours was a Michigan fan or a Longhorns fan. I know I heard one of the two.
No, I'm glad you did bring up Michigan, because that's definitely a game I'm going to watch next week. So I can get more involved with this stuff, right? Because two things. I have two friends of mine, and actually they have been on previous videos on my YouTube channel. One's Izzy, and the other one is my boy Zach Brown. They're both diehard Cowboys in Texas, like big time. I'm talking about my boy Brownie. He hit me up at 6 a.m. with a Snapchat. I was, of course, asleep. He's like, I'm already drinking, getting ready for this. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, bro. Absolutely. Like, you guys don't even play. They didn't even play till the afternoon, right? Like the Texas game was in the afternoon, right?
Yep.
Longer, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, what? But he's one of those crazy college guys where it's like it's an all-day thing for him. But no, so my two friends, Izzy and Zach, they're diehard Texas. But my family member who lives in Florida, but she has I'm not sure if she has season tickets or whatever, but she flies to Michigan all the time to go to Michigan games, big time, her and her husband. So I'm actually excited for this because I want to see how both of them are going to react to this game, because it sounds like it's already like a big deal. You know, two of the best teams in college right now. So it's going to be interesting just to see how crazy it gets. Now, for an early prediction, as someone who doesn't know much about either team, I will say this: watching some college here and there, national champion at home, I don't think you're going to go in there and handle business like that personally. If you do win, it's going to be a nail biter, but you're not going to go in there no matter how good your roster is and win in the big house. If there's one thing I know about college football, is the big house is a hard place to play. I've been there. I actually was there, what was it, 2 years ago when I went to the Detroit Eagles home opener. I actually went with my cousin, who I believe the day before that on Saturday went to the Michigan home opener or something like that. I can't remember. But regardless, either home opener or second game. But regardless, it was we did a tour around the big house, and I was like, wow, like this place is crazy. And yeah, I don't think that Texas will. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I don't think that Texas is going to go in there and handle business against the defending national champions. Whether or not they're in a rebuild or whatever you want to call it, they still got Division I athletes that after you win a national championship, players want to go there. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, you want to go to the school that's going to give you the best chance to get a national title, not a school that's just going to pay you a lot of money. And, you know, there you sit and you just want to enter the draft. So I think it should be a good game. But all in all, I mean, I'm going to kind of root for the big house, man, for the Michigan Wolverines, because that's my family. So sorry, Izzy. Sorry, Brownie, if you guys are tuning in at all. Yeah, I'm going with the Wolverines.
And Toddy, before I get your thoughts on this game, because I know you'll give us the real deal analysis for it. For me, it's politics over politics here, not even stats over politics, no choice. It's politics over politics, because on one hand, there's the Michigan Wolverines, who, as an Ohio State fan, I cannot stand them. The last 3 years have been tortured because, like Toddy says, we, in regard to the Trojans, we as Buckeyes fans own Michigan for so long. And now not only have they gotten the upper hand in that matchup 3 years in a row, but they won a national championship, which is something that the Buckeyes haven't done in a decade now. And so as an Ohio State fan, I want to root against Michigan anywhere and everywhere. But then as a writer for Texas A&M, a lot of my articles tend to circulate among Longhorns fans. And then I get a bunch of dumb comments on X from strangers talking behind an egg, talking behind whatever fake profile, insulting my work just because they're like, oh, well, the Texas A&M's a cult, blah, blah, blah. All these things that Longhorns fans have to say to disparage Texas A&M. And so I kind of feel some type of way about Longhorns fans. So I'm torn, but my hate for Michigan will always overweigh everything. And also, real deal, stats over politics. I just think that Texas has a better team this year. Michigan is in a rebuild, as I alluded to when I asked Kyle about his pick. And so for that reason, and Quinn Ewers is a baller. He could be the number one pick in next year's draft. So I'm going to go with Texas to pull off the upset. Not even an upset because they're a higher ranked team, but I get Kaz's argument that you're playing on the home field of the reigning national champions. But I'm going to go with the Longhorns. Toddy, who you got in this matchup between Texas and Michigan?
Yeah, so Kaz, if you are feeling lucky, you can get Michigan at plus 235. So they're dogs in this game. Texas is favored in this game, Shaun. They're favored by 7, and they're minus 285 on the money line, which is kind of insane. I think Vegas is kind of scared of Michigan. Their quarterback situation is what it once was last year. Obviously, they lost J.J. McCarthy to the NFL. Their quarterback play is very nonchalant. They were hoping Alex Orji would win the competition in fall camp, but Davis Warren is kind of the guy. He's a starting quarterback, so he was the guy that took the majority of the snaps. But people kind of were hoping and thinking that would be Alex Orji, but apparently that's the opposite thing. So this game is the over-under in this game is 44.5, which is pretty low scoring because Michigan's defense is like top 3. They probably have the best defense in all of college football still, but their offense is kind of non-existent, I would say. Now they did put up, they blew out, I believe it was Fresno State. So they had a bit of trouble with Fresno State this last weekend. So This should have been a team they should have put 60 points on, but they ended up winning 30-10. Now, Texas, on the other hand, I feel like they're more talented. They have the transfer from Alabama, Isaiah Bond. Quinn Ewers is another guy who I think is going to be in that Heisman candidate race. And I think they also have the coaching advantage with Steve Sarkisian, who's like an offensive wizard. So them kind of going into, I think before this game, before like week 1 started, this game was at 4.5. So the line jumped tremendously to 7. Kind of after watching this game, or kind of watching both teams in week 1. And I think, Texas kind of has the talent advantage, coaching advantage. I think they just have better players on both sides of the ball. I think they're pretty evenly matched on defense. Michigan probably has a better defense than Texas, but I think overall, from an overall standpoint, I think Texas is just going to outclass them. And this Texas Michigan game is definitely on the hotline, so stay tuned for that.
What a tease. That's an excellent tease on your part. And so let's get right to it, because it's now time for one of our favorite recurring segments, Vonny's Hotline, which made its return last week. And Toddy, you are 3-1 in season 2 of the Hotline. So just to review the 4 picks from last week, the only unsuccessful one was Texas A&M -2.5 at -125 odds. Obviously, we already talked about why the Aggies failed to cover there, and we can blame Connor Wegman for that, for not having a perfect hotline. Georgia -13, that cashed extremely easily at -120 odds. The Miami Hurricanes money line at -140, that also cashed, as well as your USC money line at +160. So 3-1.
I was crazy with that pick.
You know, I was one of those people, and so I will take that on the chin. The Trojans may actually have a competent defense this season, so props to you and your squad there, Toddy. But now let's hear what you got for the first week of NFL season and the second week of college football with Vonny's Hotline.
Okay, so we're going kind of heavy this week because it is NFL. I don't know if I'll have this many picks going forward. Depends on the type of games that are going on. But we're going to start with Saturday's games, which is college football week 2. We're going to go. So the game that we kind of just talked about, the Texas and the Texas Michigan game. So Texas favored by 7 here. I get that they're on the road, so I feel like that might be weird for them. But I'm going with their team total, which is over 25.5. So basically, they're going to score 26 points. They put up 52 this last week. This, like I said, this Michigan defense is one of the top defenses in the league. So I'm not saying that they're going to put up 50, but I think Michigan's defense is going to get tired because I don't think their offense is going to be able to score points. So they're not going to be able to – their defense is going to be on the field a lot. And I think Texas is going to be able to catch them slipping and be able to put up points. So I'm definitely taking their team total over 25.5. There's 2 more games. They kind of both play at the same time. Or they have the same start times. So the first game I'll start with is the Tennessee Volunteers are traveling to NC State, the Wolfpack. Nico Imaliave, he put up very good numbers this past weekend. Again, it was against, pretty much nobody. A lot of Matador defense going on there. But NC State struggled this past weekend against an opponent that they should have beaten pretty handedly. And I just think that Tennessee has the better roster, better quarterback. And I just think that they're going to roll NC State and they're going to be able to put up points at an easy rate. So I'm going to take them and the points there. Another game, which is probably going to be the game of the weekend, probably, is the Colorado-Nebraska game. Nebraska is favored by 7.5 points in this game. I do think that both teams are going to be able to put up points. Nebraska now with Dylan Raiola, who was the number 1 quarterback coming out of high school, looked very poised in his opener against UTEP. I think he threw 3 touchdowns. And I think I don't think he had any turnovers. But Shedeur Sanders, we all know, Travis Hunter, that offense, Jimmy Horn Jr., those guys are going to definitely be able to put up points. I think they have one of the best offenses in the entire country. So I expect to see a lot of points in this game. There was a lot of points, I would say, in last game, but it kind of happened at the end when Colorado kind of ended up running away with it. But I think with Nebraska having the insane upgrade at quarterback with the true freshman and Dylan Raiola, who Patrick Mahomes called his cousin on Twitter, if you guys didn't see that.
Yeah, baby Mahomes.
It's going to be a very high high-paced, fast-paced game. So I do expect a lot of points. So I'm going to take the over in that game at 57.5. Line's probably going to jump all the way towards Sunday, but this is going to be like a 30-35 game, in my opinion. I don't know if Colorado wins. I think Nebraska wins this game, but I'm taking the over in this game. So moving over to Sunday, because we do got some football on Sunday as well now, guys, and I couldn't be more excited about it. This was a game that was brought to my attention by our guy Ev, who's in the group chat, who it is his birthday, by the way, so happy birthday to my guy Ev.
Happy birthday, Evan.
He approached me and was like, so what do you think about Texans-Colts game? I was like, oh, Texans will probably win that game. But he doesn't want to take the points. He's not really a spread guy. And I was like, why not Texans minus 2.5? They're traveling to Indianapolis against Anthony Richardson, who is a big question mark. I'm a huge fan of him. Also with this offense with Shane Steichen, I think they're going to be able to put up points. But I just think this Houston Texans team kind of set a standard for themselves last year by winning the division, the first year head coach and the first year quarterback. I just think those guys, what they added in the offseason, obviously re-signing Nico Collins and getting Stephon Diggs and getting Joe Mixon, their offense, I think, is on steroids now. You add Daniil Hunter to this defense. You have D'Amico Ryans basically calling defense. I think he's one of the better defensive minds in the game and one of the better head coaches in the game. I'm very high on the Texans this year, if you guys saw the episode last week. So I do think the Texans go into Indianapolis and win this game. And they also cover the spread. So I'm taking the Texans minus 2.5 over the Indianapolis Colts. Next game on the list we have is the Falcons are at home, the Dirty Birds, against our guy Cordell's and Gary's Steelers. You see that Russell Wilson was named the starter this past week. He's also named a team captain as well. Not very high on the Steelers. And, I get that they're better now because Kenny Pickett isn't their quarterback, but the offense didn't look fluid in the preseason. Now I get it is the preseason, but you're kind of supposed to show flashes like, all right, this is what it's going to look like going into it. We got some momentum going into the regular season. I didn't really get that from them. I think this Falcons offense was literally just a quarterback away last year. They had Kirk Cousins, and obviously they drafted Michael Penix, and they sat him out like he was a starting quarterback the last couple of games because they didn't want to have him just tear up the preseason, which he probably was going to do. But you have Bijan Robinson going into his second year. He's going to be one of the best running backs in the league. Highly coveted guy in fantasy in our draft yesterday. I think, they have Drake London, Kyle Pitts. They have Bijan Robinson. I think this offense is going to flow. I think Darnell Mooney is on this roster, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a guy that's flying under the radar as well. I think that the Falcons are going to win pretty handily here. They're going to cover the spread at 3. So basically we need them to win by 4 points because if they win by 3, it'll be a push. But I do think this Steeler defense is one of the best defenses in the league. So I'm curious to see how they'll look going into Atlanta. But this is the first game for Raheem Morris and, Kirk Cousins, the new guys with the Atlanta Falcons. But I do think Atlanta ends up winning this division and they win this game at home. Last but not least, guys, we're on Monday night. And it would have been the hotline if the San Francisco 49ers weren't on the hotline. And this is something that I try not to bet my team because it's an emotional thing. It's this, it's that, But it's the Niners, man. We were the number 1 seed last year. We win games. And we're at home. I get it. Bunch of drama in the offseason. This is the perfect time for Brock Purdy to come out and show why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's a great spot for them. You got Aaron Rodgers coming to town. I understand, guys. I understand. Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football. This is a prime spot for him. But he doesn't really play the Niners well in his career. I think the last time we played Aaron Rodgers was oh, that's right. He was in Green Bay and we won without scoring an offensive touchdown. That's crazy, right? I get Trent Williams isn't there right now. I expect him to be signed and practicing by the end of the week.
He'll just show up on Monday. He'll just show up on Monday.
I get Ricky Pearsall. That was a crazy story that happened over the weekend. Was put on IR due to the unfortunate events that happened over the weekend. But I do think this is a great spot for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. I think it's going to be a really good game. I've said multiple times on this show about last year's Monday Night Football, how Aaron Rodgers went down with an injury in the first 4 plays, and we had a ton of money on him. Game goes to overtime. The hero, the punt return was insane. It was a magical moment. I kind of want to go back and watch that episode after today just to see what the emotions were like. But I got the Niners -3.5 here. So to kind of recap what's going on, so the Saturday games for college, first game of the day we got is Texas team total over 25.5 against Michigan. The 2 games are going on at the same time. We got Tennessee -7.5 over NC State. We got the Colorado Nebraska over 57.5 in that game. And then Sunday's games, 2 10 a.m. games on Sunday. We have the Houston Texans -2.5 going on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. And then we have the Atlanta Falcons -3 at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then, of course, the Monday Night Football game, we got San Francisco 49ers -3.5 over the New York Jets.
All right. I like it. And Vonny's Hotline has started strong to start the season at 3-1 after being well over 500 in season 1 of the Hotline. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how you do with all of these picks. 6 total. Like you said, we're not going to get 6 every week, so everyone needs to take advantage of it. Maybe not parlay all 6 together, but maybe a 3-3. What else were you going to say?
I did want to also add that Colorado-Nebraska game is a prop bettor's dream. There are so many great props in that game. You could go Travis Hunter anytime touchdown, Jimmy Horn Jr. anytime touchdown. You can go Dylan Raiola over whatever his yards are, or Shador, whatever his yards are, which is probably going to be – I wouldn't probably take Shador's over because his over will probably be at like 350 yards because he threw for 400 last week. So Vegas is starting to catch on to him. But those guys that I just mentioned, I would definitely take Travis Hunter anytime touchdown. He scored 3 touchdowns this past weekend, which is crazy. And then Jimmy Horn Jr., the other receiver. I forget the other guy's name, Webster. I think it's a Jonte Webster or something. He's going to be a guy to watch out for yards as well, too. So watch out for the props in that game as well.
One follow-up question to that, and you may not have the answer, but it popped up in my head as you were saying it. With a guy like Travis Hunter, who can play both sides of the ball, if he gets an interception and returns it for a touchdown,
that counts as a touchdown. That counts as a touchdown.
All right.
That would be crazy.
It's free money. It's definitely free money.
Wait, you're not being serious, right?
No, that counts.
That wouldn't count as any time, would it?
Yes.
On like legit sports betting apps, it would count as an anytime touchdown?
Yes.
It's
a touchdown.
It's a defensive touchdown.
No, it counts as a touchdown because he isn't. I don't know. You know what? That actually is a great question, but I feel like it's different. It's different because he plays both sides of the ball. But I get an anytime touchdown is when somebody has to run the ball across the end zone.
I think it has to be offensive. I think it has to be offensive, bro. We'll have to look that up. I don't know.
We might have to look that up, but
we'll have to look that up.
It might count though. I feel like it would count if he does catch an interception.
It's going to happen eventually.
An anytime touchdown is because once upon a time when your boy was brand new in the betting game, you got fucked by taking like a quarterback to score a touchdown, thinking it's him throwing a touchdown. No,
I would do some shit like
he has
that.
to run the ball across the end zone. So I'm saying if it were him catching an interception, or like say they're like they have the other team backed up on the end zone, he catches like a 5-yard interception and runs it back in for a touchdown, I think it would count.
We'll see.
Kyle, you wanted to jump in there. You were saying that you think it'll happen eventually if it's not actually a thing right now.
No, yeah, I think. Well, obviously it's Travis Hunter. He's gonna get probably a couple pick sixes this season, like more than not for sure. So I don't know. I was just curious, thinking about like I feel like certain apps, like if you use like Bovada, I feel like it might count on that. But I feel like if you use
Right.
another app like Sleeper or Prize Picks, I feel like they wouldn't give it to you.
Yeah, they probably would. It's an app by app thing.
Yeah,
I can agree
think,
with that. I can agree with that. I come like, DraftKings, fantasy, or not fantasy, but FanDuel, Sleeper, no. I'm like, I can't foresee them allowing that. Plus, I've never heard of that. I haven't heard anybody make a bet ever in my I don't know how many years of sports betting. Yeah, man, I'm taking this guy anytime touchdown. He's gonna get a pick six.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that ever. I've never heard of it. So
I've heard of people saying like, I'm going to take this team to get a defensive touchdown. So that's different. Like defensive special teams touchdown. If you take that, it's usually really high plus money. So
yeah, big time. Because TJ Watt did that quite a bit. Like there was like
DaRon Bland.
DaRon Bland is another one.
That was a good bet last year.
Yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a couple too. I want to say a couple years back. Like I'm not sure if he had pick sixes, but regardless, like there's been quite a few NFL players that were taking the league by storm, and it's like, okay, I would love to place a bet on this guy to get a pick six or just I don't know, whatever. And like there's usually not even a prop for it. You know what I mean? Like you can't find a TJ Watt anytime touchdown, but TJ Watt has done it how many times in his career? Like he scores touchdowns. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think a good measuring stick from the past. I mean, legal sports betting was around during the days of Deion Sanders playing in the NFL and MLB, but also Deion was primarily a defensive guy in the NFL, and he would also return kicks and punts and stuff like that. So that was his opportunity to score on defense and then potentially on special teams. Even a Pac-Man Jones, similar, where he was returning punts, but he was primarily playing defense. Travis Hunter, changing the game, man. We absolutely love to see it here on episode 111 of Stats Over Politics. So, guys, now as week one quickly approaches, it's time for our official NFL week one picks. So we're going to go game by game. If you want to add some analysis on top of your pick, let's hear it. I'm probably going to stick to being pretty straightforward with my picks. But starting out, we have the reigning, defending, twice over Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, who, as the reigning champions, will open the season at home, and they will host the team that they beat in the AFC Championship game last year, the Baltimore Ravens. So, Kyle, I'm going to start things out with you. Who do you got in this season opener, and why?
Okay, so I definitely got the Chiefs because, if anything, they did not get any worse. They got nothing but better in the offseason. I'm a big believer in Xavier Worthy. I think once he gets his footing in the NFL, he's going to be definitely a problem. And then later in the season, too, they get Hollywood Brown back. Yeah. And I'm not like Lamar is obviously a great quarterback, but I'm not like some of these other people when they think about Lamar, like they just think he's the greatest quarterback.
So you're a hater, is what you're saying. You don't.
Yeah, I'll hate on Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as long as you're not saying that he's a wide receiver, then you're not even close to how bad the haters have gotten for him. He's clearly an NFL quarterback, so much so that Toddy took him with his second-round pick in our fantasy draft yesterday. After I took Mahomes right before him, and then Toddy took.
I was going to take Mahomes. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I guess we will find out. But I was pretty proud of my
first
team
draft,
name. Second draft. You got to give yourself more credit. It was your second draft. But anyways, okay. So Kyle has KC. Kaz, who you siding with? Baltimore at KC.
Man, I really hope I'm wrong on this, but I'm probably not gonna be wrong on it. I'm taking KC. I think this would be a really good game for Baltimore to win. I mean, obviously, you beating the defending Super Bowl champions. It's like, yeah. But a statement game for Baltimore. I think they show up. I think that they come out guns blazing, but I mean, Kyle said it best, dude. They didn't get any worse. And adding in Xavier Worthy, I'm glad that he brought that up because, dude, I drafted him in like I'm gonna sound kind of crazy. I'm in seven fantasy leagues. 7.
I did that. I did that a couple years ago, and it was miserable. Now I have to. My max is 4. My ideal number is 3, and I'm at 3. But I know what it's like.
I do 6 a year, and I've done it for plenty of years. It just is what it is. And this year,
clearly I have a problem. I'm a gambler. You guys are just fan. Maybe that's probably what it is.
That's the problem. Is I'm a gambler too. I'm in those. I'm in pick'ems. I'm in weekly pick. I'm in all kinds of stuff. I'm just throwing money everywhere. Like I got it. I ain't got it like that. Man. I don't. I'm throwing money everywhere. Man. So already got a bet on. Look, I'm out here. We're doing our fantasy draft. I know it's kind of off topic, but doing our fantasy draft. There's 2 Packers fans in there. I'm like, okay. So any of you Packers fans want to bet on the game on Friday? Already got bets on that. I can't help it, bro. I got a problem, man. I need to call 1-800-STOP-GAMBLING, whatever it's called. But anyways, I'm gonna go with KC though, man. Dude, like I think the Xavier Worthy addition is going to be a problem for a lot of teams. Andy Reid is going to scheme him in perfectly, guarantee it. And speed kills. And now you got Mahomes there. Remember last year, Kels had kind of a down. He had a down year. He's finished like 900, like 80 some yards. He's like 13 yards off from 1,000. First time in like who knows how many years. Like what? Like pretty much his whole career besides like his like early years. Like for that to happen, people are going to think that okay, is Kels washed? He's been bringing up retirement, possibly hinting at it, and they're going to come out there.
Is Taylor a distraction?
Yeah, it's Taylor a distraction. He's going to come out there and get about 8 to 9 catches. Going to have like 105 yards and probably 2 touchdowns for no reason. And then there's going to be an Xavier Worthy massive touchdown, and whatever else they do on the Chiefs offense is going to be enough to put away the Ravens. I think the Ravens defense will play well for a start. I think the Ravens offense will, they'll do they're going to do what they're going to do, right? But at the end of the day, the Ravens still don't have an elite receiving core. Far from it. We don't know what we're going to get out of Mark Andrews at all. He's coming off a significant injury, and he's not a young tight end anymore. Okay, he's getting up there. All right, so you got that. You got what's his name? Zay Flowers. Okay, awesome guy. Is he a true number 1? Who knows? And then you have Bateman, who year after year we're still trying to figure out if they can get this guy a prevalent role in their offense. It's going to be a problem. The Chiefs' defense is still really good. The Chiefs' offense got better. The Chiefs have to take this game, and I would also take them to take the spread -3 easily.
It's at 2.5 now.
2.5 now? Yeah, I had -3 on ESPN, whatever.
Damn, ESPN bet changing the odds. So, Toddy, are you going to make it 3 for 3 right now?
So are we just going to, like, gloss over the fact that the Ravens got Derrick Henry? Like, that's not a thing? Are we just – their run defense – their offense got legitimately better. I think Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP of last year, you have Zay Flowers, you have Mark Andrews coming up. Isaiah Likely, a guy who I don't think a lot of people were talking about. I like the Ravens in the spot. Last year, the Chiefs have kind of proven to be a little bit weird in September. A couple of years ago, they lost to the Colts. They lost on Thursday night last year against the Lions in prime time. I think this is a great spot for the Ravens to kind of, poke their chest out a little bit. They are dogs in this game, obviously, at plus 130. That'd be a cool little bet if you guys want to bet that game. But I do like the Ravens in the spot. I get it's Patrick Mahomes. They did get better. But the Ravens also got better as well. I think the loss of L'Jarius Sneed on the outside is going to be something to watch out for. But I do think that the Chiefs defense will still be able to maintain. But I think L'Jarius Sneed was a very key piece who can kind of lock up your best receiver. I like to see that going forward, who's going to be the guy to step up. But I do like the Ravens in the spot to win this game.
I will say this real quick. You understand that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are probably going to combine for about 40 rushes together, if not more than that. So
absolutely,
the whole missing of L'Jarius Sneed, not to just go too far on this week 1 matchup. Sorry, Shaun, but the whole thing with L'Jarius Sneed is like, yeah, they're going to be missing him, but it's like there's not going to be enough ball to go around because you're right. They have Derrick Henry. He's getting his touches. On top of Derrick Henry getting his touches, Lamar's getting his rushes. I mean, that is their strong point when it comes to the Ravens offense. So we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe Lamar will take advantage of the secondary of the Chiefs being a little bit, what do you want to call it? Weekend, but I don't know, man. It's gonna be that's the only way I can see the Ravens winning this is if they really cannot stop Derrick Henry and Lamar, and it's a possibility. But
with those two, they could use Derrick Henry to where they're draining the clock, and Mahomes won't have as many possessions. They'll be controlling the clock with Derrick Henry, Lamar. So that could be an angle that they're taking from.
If I was Harbaugh, I would do that.
Yeah, and I would as well, and that's why I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens in this matchup. Maybe it's because Toddy and I are still feeling the pain from the Super Bowl and we refuse to pick the Kansas City Chiefs, or we have seen the same thing, and Toddy took the words right out of my mouth in regard to adding Derrick Henry, because we've seen the Baltimore Ravens as one of the best, if not the best, right there with the 49ers at rushing the football. It's the Niners, it's the Ravens when it comes to the best rushing teams in the NFL consistently over the last 5 years. And while the 49ers just recently got the best running back in the NFL, and now they have the guy, 49ers were kind of piecing it together for years. That's what the Baltimore Ravens were doing for years, whether if it be J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, every name that you could throw under the sun for the Baltimore Ravens. And a lot of it has to do with injuries.
Devontae Freeman.
Devontae Freeman. Hey, even Dalvin Cook.
Think so.
Peyton Mitchell. Yep. And even Dalvin Cook got signed by the Ravens at the end of last season, if I remember correctly. Pretty sure he's a Cowboy now. But yeah, Dalvin Cook got signed by the Ravens, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I vaguely remember that. And so the point is that the Ravens have had a revolving door at running back, and it has a lot to do with injury, but it's also because they haven't found the guy. Now they have, even if he's entering his 30s, Derrick Henry is still a bruiser, and he fits in perfectly in this offense. He will be a great complement to Lamar Jackson, which will open things up for Lamar, not only to find lanes to rush through, but also passing lanes to connect on. I'm not a huge believer in Zay Flowers as a number one wide receiver, even though Jaevon in the YouTube comment says Zay is fire. I'm not a believer in him as a number one guy, but he has this season to prove me wrong. I'm going with the Ravens, so that knots us up at 2 picks apiece for each team. Kevin will be the ultimate tiebreaker in this, and we'll get his picks later. Everyone will be able to see all of our picks on the Stats Over Politics social media pages. You can find us on Instagram at Stats Over Politics, as well as TikTok, and you can find us on X at Stats or Politics to see the graphics of our picks leading into this weekend's games. So, guys, as we keep things moving now for episode 111, we get to Friday night football, as Kaz was talking about earlier. And because this is your team, Kaz, we're going to start things off with you, as the Green Bay Packers play against the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil. So it's not a home game for either team. I saw a report that A.J. Brown said that they're not allowed to walk out on the street because things are so bad in Brazil, but they're holding a game there. And so, Kaz, I remember your picks from when we went over the NFC East, but who do you got in this matchup?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to say I have a couple acquaintances and friends that I met at tailgates. They're in Brazil right now. They're partying. They're partying hard. So for it being super dangerous, I'm looking at some Snapchats and some tweets. I'm like, very interesting. You're on beaches and whatnot, doing some wild and crazy stuff. It is what it is. But what I'll say is this, man, I'll keep it real. I think the Packers are going to play a very good game against the Eagles. I think that both offenses are going to put up a significant chunk of points. If I were you, I'd definitely take the over on this game. I don't think that the Eagles offense is going to be stopped. I think that the Green Bay Packers offense with Matt LaFleur leading the show is going to find a way to carve up the Eagles defense, who is still trying to figure out what we're doing. We have a lot of weak areas in our defense. There's a high ceiling for our defense, but it's more so we need to see it to believe it, not like, oh, look who we have. So, you got an aging Darius Slay. That's my guy. I told you guys this last week. I mean, I love the guy, you know what I'm saying? But he's 33 years old, turning 34 in January. You got Quinion Mitchell. He's a rookie. We'll find out how good the guy really is. And then we have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at safety, and then we're kind of weird in the linebacker position, and we're in a new defense with Vic Fangio. And then on the line, we got Josh Sweat on one side, we got Brandon Graham that also added to the mix, and we have Bryce Huff, which is great. But again, we don't know how this is going to work out. We haven't seen it yet. So the Eagles defense is a huge asterisk. If the Eagles defense clicks, this is going to be a very bad game for the Packers. If not, it's going to be very high scoring, and I probably would maybe kind of sort of geared toward taking the Packers to cover the spread, but the Eagles should still win this game. So I'm going Philadelphia to win. We have way too much going on our offense. I think that our team camaraderie is a lot better than the Packers. The Packers are a team that I have winning their division. You guys know that based off our the video last week. But I don't think that they're going to be good enough to take down the Eagles, and this is me being completely unbiased. So we'll see. I think the Packers will put up a good chunk of points. I think the Eagles will just put up a couple more.
All right, Kyle, who do you got in this matchup between the Packers and the Eagles in week 1 in Brazil?
All right, so for sure, I definitely agree with Kaz. That's going to be a shootout, I think. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. And honestly, I think whoever wins the game, it's really going to depend on whose defense plays better, because they both have great offenses. So the Eagles secondary is a little hurt right now. I know Bradbury just got hurt. I know he hasn't been great, but he's, you know what I mean?
They're not going to miss.
Trash bear.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm for surely going to give it to the Eagles, though. I think they have a little bit more of an edge. I think they're a little deeper than the Packers too. They're still pretty young. Jordan Love's second year as starting quarterback. So yeah.
All right, Toddy, that's 2 for 2 on the Eagles, but just like it was last time, are you going to go away from the pick so far, or are you going to make it 3 for 3?
Yeah, so this game, the over-under is 49, so I do think it's going to be a higher scoring game. The Eagles are favored by 3 points. Once upon a time, they were favored by 1.5. Line jumped a little bit. I do think the Packers have a shot. I think this game is going to be very close. I think both offenses are pretty prime. Jalen Hurts signed his extension. I don't know if it was in the offseason or it was last year, during the season last year. But Jordan Love obviously is like the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now from an APY standpoint. I do think the Eagles are a more talented team here. Obviously, we get Saquon Barkley, we get AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. And I'd like to see what Jalen Hurts looks like under this new Kellen Moore offense. I think he really just had one good year under Shane Steichen, and now Shane Steichen is in Indianapolis, obviously. So we'll like to see Hurts under a new coordinator. Can he play well with all the weapons that he has for him? So I'm going to take the Eagles in the spot. I get it's at a neutral site in Brazil, but I think the Eagles have the edge in this game.
Well, we know who Kevin is going to pick. Don't even have to reach out to him. We know who Kevin will pick. So that makes it 4 for 4 on the Eagles. And even though we're not a big prominent show as of yet, I hate when I'm watching a network and they're doing the picks.
Everybody
see the picks and it's everyone picks the same team. And also the thing that I've been an NFL fan long enough to see the trend, but specifically last year when we were doing these picks, I think I went like 7 of 16, like something atrocious. And it's because I really was like, all right, I'm going with the better team, going with the better team. As of right now, I think the Eagles are the better team. But the mistake that I made last year is I picked the better team in every matchup when in week 1, weird-ass shit happens. It's in Brazil. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. I'm politicking. I'm going with the Green Bay Packers. I'm 100% politicking, but I'm going with the Green Bay Packers on this.
I hope you're right, Shaun.
I hope I'm right too. So now, guys, let's get to the next game, which was talked about earlier on the hotline, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons. I am going to start things off here, and I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. The reason why I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons. Also, I'm sorry. One thing I wanted to add, aside from all my politicking, is the one name I didn't hear in regard to the Packers, Josh Jacobs is now a member of the Green Bay Packers. I do think that is going to be an upgrade from Aaron Jones, because Aaron Jones was kind of fading out in his last couple seasons with the Packers. If Josh Jacobs can stay healthy, I really, really like that move, and he could thrive in LaFleur's offense. Now getting back to the game that I was just starting to describe, was the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to go with the Falcons because Kirk Cousins is a huge upgrade. He should maximize all the weapons that have been underused over the years. Arthur Smith, now the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Arthur Smith, if you ask me, was the reason why the Falcons did not use Kyle Pitts properly, or even Bijan Robinson. And so, with Arthur Smith on the Pittsburgh sideline, I'm going to go with the opposite team, which is the Atlanta Falcons. And also, the Steelers would win this game if they were starting Justin Fields, a Georgia native. However, they're not. Kyle's boy, Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited
is starting for.
He worships him.
So I'm going to go with Atlanta. But Kyle, who do you got in this matchup between your former QB, Russell Wilson, and Kirk Cousins and the Falcons?
As much as I do love Russ, I gotta definitely give it to the Falcons. I just feel like their offense is going to be crazy this year. I know a lot of people are like, when they talk about Bijan Robinson, a lot of people are either super high on the guy or they just think he's not that good. I'm definitely one of the ones that are really high on him. I think he's going to be a crazy talent, and I think even with their defense, I think he's still going to be way too hard for them to stop. And then you said as well about Kyle Pitts is actually going to get to be used properly, because like Kirk Cousins with his connection with TJ Hawkinson, I think they're going to do something. So for surely the Falcons.
Yep. And Kaz, who do you got in this one between Pittsburgh and Atlanta?
Yeah, I think it could be one of those weird games where somehow, some way, Pittsburgh wins it 13-10. I don't know why. It's just one of those things that Pittsburgh does season after season, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. This game's either going to be very low scoring and Pittsburgh wins, or it's going to be a blowout and it's going to favor toward the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, we all know, if you guys don't know, I mentioned it last week, Kirk Cousins puts up numbers, dog. Just call it what it is. He's done it for like a decade. He puts up numbers. And now he just left a team where he was going to put up even more numbers again for another season with the Vikings. You know, coming from Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, that's amazing. He went to another team that has better running back play. Drake London ain't no scrub. He ain't no Jay Jettis, but he ain't no scrub. And I still believe that Kyle Pitts is not a bust. I don't know if he's going to be what he was drafted for. You know, he was like number 8 overall, I think it was.
Highest drafted tight end ever.
Yeah. We might have missed on that, but I don't think he's a bust, man. You gotta find a way to use this guy. And I think that that Kyle Pitts is going to find the end zone this game. I'm gonna say it right now. I think that he's going to have an awesome game, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to just carve him up. Bijan Robinson, touchdown? Yeah. What's that?
Kyle Pitts anytime touchdown?
I'm on that. I'm with that. I think it's gonna just light a fire under the Atlanta Falcons fans' asses. I'm like, okay, we can do this. We've been waiting for it's year number 4 now. We can do it. So I think it's gonna be a Kyle Pitts show. I think Bijan's gonna do what he does, but I think that Kirk Cousins is gonna show the Atlanta fans that, hey, all you needed was a competent quarterback. Kirk Cousins is a competent quarterback. He's still in the latter end of his prime years, but I mean, if you look at his numbers, you can't say the guy's fallen off really, because that's an injury. So Atlanta should blow them out quite comfortably.
All right, Toddy. I don't know where Kevin's going to go on this one, but right now it's 3 for 3 on Atlanta. You going to keep that going?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's on the hotline, so we got Atlanta. I kind of gave my analysis earlier. I do agree with Kaz that Kyle Pitts is going to score in this game. I'm trying to find what his prop is to score. But I do believe we see an improvement. I mean, I don't think Kyle Pitts is a bust at all. I just think he had Desmond Ridder as his quarterback. So, I mean, I wouldn't even blame Arthur Smith all the way. I just think that, you know, it's hard to score when Desmond Ridder's throwing you the ball. So, you know, you kind of got to make with you. And he also had Taylor Heineke. So I don't know if you guys want to make that. I mean, you're comparing apples to oranges here, but I mean, he's kind of trying to do it by himself. If he could throw the ball to himself, he would. But I mean, it is what it is there. I don't see it. It's not popping up for me. But if you don't want to take the spread in this game, the juice is minus 150 for the Falcons. I would lay that. Maybe probably put it as part of the parlay. But yeah, give me the Falcons.
Yeah, and as Jaevon says, Kyle Pitts needs to block, but he's a talent, and good tight ends need good quarterbacks.
Once upon a time, me and Kevin argued that Kyle Pitts was better than Dallas Goedert. It was a while ago. I think it was 2 years ago. This was like a real heated debate.
Well, this is now going to be his opportunity to really prove it. And, you know, as of right now, Kevin probably looks like he won that argument just based on the production that we've seen from Pitts through his first handful of seasons. However, now he has a good QB to match what we think are his good tight end talents. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that. Next game, Arizona at Buffalo. Kyle, who do you got and why?
Definitely going to take Buffalo. They definitely had a regression at their wide receiver spots with Diggs leaving. So I think their wide receiver one right now is honestly still in question. It's either going to be Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, I think. Shakir will probably be the two. But I like James Cook a lot. I think he's going to have a good time running against that Arizona line. And Arizona's Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. He's pretty seasoned vet. But Marvin Harrison, I don't know if he's going to be able to translate like this early in the season. Later in the season, don't get me wrong, he's going to get his. But I
Especially
feel like it's going to take him a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Nah, Lil Spoon's going to be on that. Don't worry.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And we'll get to the Seahawks in a little bit. I want to mention one thing about the Seahawks in week one that is completely unrelated to what they might actually do on the field. Kyle, you might have seen it as well on social media, but I definitely need to shout it out when it comes to the Seahawks in their week one game. But Kaz, who do you got with Arizona at Buffalo?
Yeah, man, I took Buffalo. I think I'm going to be wrong on this one. I don't believe Buffalo at all this year. I'm sorry. I don't really have a reason to. I mean, literally, it's just Josh Allen. You understand that, right? I get it. James Cook's a great running back. I don't see he's a great running. He's a good running back. You take away Josh Allen, what do we think of the Buffalo Bills? I mean, he's literally a one-man wrecking ball. So I'm like, Arizona, you know, you're probably not going to stop Josh Allen. You're probably not going to stop that offense. But you do have, you know, you got James Conner in the backfield. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., who might take a couple games to adjust. He might come out and just take the league by storm. Who knows? But I think that Kyler Murray is going to come back and play very decent. I think he's going to be the same Kyler Murray we saw as of, 3-4 years ago that was a decent quarterback. He was a good quarterback. I don't think that he's done by any means necessary. It wouldn't make any sense. Like, what has happened to him to where he's done? Like, he's not figured out or anything like that. So I think there is potential for being a decently high-scoring game if Arizona's offense can click. But apparently, the sports betting gods see something in the Buffalo Bills. They have -6 right now, if I'm not mistaken. And I can't go against those odds, man. I mean, just Buffalo at home, Josh Allen, week one, he's going to single-handedly have probably 4 all-purpose touchdowns. So, yeah, going to go with Josh Allen and them boys comfortably.
Toddy, what do you think about those odds in this matchup between Arizona at Buffalo?
I like Arizona. I'm very low on Buffalo this year. I feel like this is a good spot for Arizona to kind of come in and shock the world. Buffalo kind of regressed in a lot of skill positions, especially at wide receiver. They lost a lot on defense as well. They lost, I believe, Poyer their safety from last year. Obviously, the losing Stephon Diggs, and Gabe Davis. So Josh Allen is going to kind of have to come out and put the team on his back and figure out a way how to win. I get Arizona. You could argue that, besides Marvin Harrison Jr., who he's going to be throwing the ball to. Well, he does have James Conner, I think, is a reputable back. Michael Wilson, a guy coming off of injury, who at one point in time, it was Michael Wilson and Puka Nacua early in the season last year before Michael Wilson got hurt. I think he's a guy to definitely watch out for. And Kyler Murray got a lot to prove this year. And I keep forgetting the head coach's name for the Arizona Cardinals.
Jonathan Gannon.
Jonathan Gannon, I think, towards the end of the season, proved a lot. I thought his defense played well down the stretch. They ended up beating the Philadelphia Eagles to get and help secure the 49ers #1 seed last year. Thank you, guys. I think we sent them a bottle of champagne or something like that. But I do think they're going to be, I think this offense is going to be kind of something to watch out for. You got Kyler, you have James Conner, you have Michael Wilson, and you have Marvin Harrison Jr. If you are feeling a little bit, want to sprinkle some money on Marvin Harrison Jr. to score a touchdown next week, he's plus 160. Feel like those are really good odds. But I do like the Cardinals in the spot here. I get it's on the road, but this will be one of those games that you'll be like, oh, they're favored by almost minus 300. I'm seeing minus 280 here. They're favored by a touchdown. Cardinals have come kind of shock the world a little bit.
I think the Cardinals will shock the world. And for our YouTube audience, they might have seen my visual reaction when I heard you pick the Cardinals. And I was disappointed just because I wanted to be the only one on Cardinals Island. Because the thing about this matchup is everything about it screams to me. Buffalo at home. Everyone thinks the Cardinals are going to suck. All of these things. And because of exactly what I said earlier, and Jaevon basically repeated it in the comments saying week 1 is always the shit or whatever word you want to plug in there. Just things don't make sense in week 1. Like, yeah, you have a team like the Lions who get a big win in week 1 last year and they emerge and they go on to play for a conference championship. And I don't have another example off the top of my head, but then you have a team that had no business winning week 1. They do. And then they end up being the shitty team that we all thought that they were going to be. There's some, like, I got Buffalo making the playoffs as a wild card team. And even though I don't think Arizona is going to be a dumpster fire, I definitely think they're going to be a lot better than a lot of other people are saying. And just because of the madness of week 1, I could see Kyler going in there and getting an upset win, just like they did at the Link when the 49ers were able to clinch the #1 seed. And Cass is just like, how many more times are we going to repeat that? And so anyways, I got Arizona winning this matchup in Buffalo. And so that splits us 2-2. And we will get Kevin's pick on that coming up. And then we will get that on the graphics. And so we will find out, and we will no longer have a tie. Kevin will break it, but we will wait to find out his pick. As we do that, we move on to the Titans at the Chicago Bears. Toddy, I'm going to start this thing with you because you're very high on those Chicago Bears, so much so that you have them winning the NFC North.
Yeah, so I'm on the Bears here. The line has jumped tremendously in the last couple of weeks. They're favored by 4 points. They're juiced on the money line, minus 200. Over-under is at 45. This was another game that I was kind of thinking about putting on the hotline, but didn't do it. I don't know why. There's a lot of games that I like this week. But kind of going back to it, I do like the Bears in this spot. I think Caleb Williams is going to go off. He's going to put the league on notice. A bunch of people are going to be like, all right, this Bears team might really be a problem this year. And I just think he just has way too much to just work with. He has Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and the rookie in Rome Odunze. It's kind of just match made. They got DeAndre Swift on the team, so I'm trying to look and see what his over under is on yards. I'm seeing minus 235 at minus 150, 245 minus 118. 255 plus 104. I like that. That's really, those are good numbers there. Will Levis,
where are you getting your odds from, bro?
I'm looking at Bet Online. I'm looking at Bovada. That's what
okay. I was just curious. That's all.
Yeah. But kind of going back to the Titans do not have DeAndre Hopkins in this game. They got a new head coach. I think their defense, their secondary is like really, really good. I've said that. I've been consistent on that. I said that last week on our predictions. podcast. Although I don't think they'll be very good. I do think their secondary is pretty good. I think their offense is kind of getting a lot of it's getting slept on. I do like Tony Pollard. I do like Calvin Ridley. I think Tyler Boyd is on this team as well. But they are missing DeAndre Hopkins, who I think is going to be a bigger part of their offense. Don't know what Will Levis is going to be, but I do think their offense should be formidable. But I don't know what Will Levis is going to be. But I'm going to definitely take the Bears in the spot.
I'm also going to take the Bears because of everything you just mentioned with the Titans. That's a question mark. Even though Keenan Allen is questionable to play week 1 for the Bears,
I think
they have a bevy. And he very well could play, and they have a bevy of options, even if he's unable to play. And you mentioned Roma Dunze, DJ Moore. Also, they now have DeAndre Swift at running back, and so I like Chicago in this one as well. Kyle, where are you going in this matchup between Tennessee and Chicago?
Well, both of you guys pretty much summed it up pretty well, or like pretty much everything I was going to say about Chicago. I feel like this year they're going to be like last year's Texans and just kind of have their way with it. So they have, if you think about it, they have a great skill position or a great player at every skill position. Even their tight end, Cole Kmet's still a dog. I think he can still get it done for sure.
Gerald Everett.
They have Gerald Everett now? Is that where you?
They sure do.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, 1-2 punch at tight end.
This is a ball knower. This is a ball knower podcast.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Ball knower university.
Ball knower university, baby.
But yeah, and then Titans, I don't got much faith in Will Levis. I'm not going to lie. And then you said DeAndre Hopkins out week 1, so they really are only going to have.
He's going to miss like the first 4 weeks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it looks like they just have Calvin Ridley, a washed, or not even washed. I'm not high on Tony Pollard at all. I think Tajay Spears is going to be the guy. Give him a couple weeks. Yeah, I think he's going to be the guy. But definitely the Bears.
That's honestly a
do they cover the -4? You think they cover the 4 points?
Yeah, they're covering.
Okay.
I think they blow them out.
The thing that kind of sucks for Tony Pollard is that, like, when he was really breaking out, he was still behind Zeke technically as the RB2, and then he finally had his 1 year. But
he looked like he lost all of his explosiveness once he got the starting job.
He broke his foot.
Yeah.
So there you go. Then that might be
ankle
injuries.
That was in the playoff game when they played the Niners a couple years ago.
Yep. Now that was his 1 year, and it's very unfortunate. But it's extremely unfortunate, and that's why running backs don't get the respect that they deserve anymore, because basically their value is highest when they're on that rookie contract, and maybe things need to be changed in the CBA going forward so RBs can maximize their rookie contract a little bit more. Other than that, they're basically getting screwed because they're not giving free labor, but they're giving a very big discount at their highest capacity. And then when it's time for them to get paid, it's more so about paying them for what they did rather than what they're going to do going forward. And that's why we've seen these contracts significantly drop throughout the years. Kaz will potentially see that this year with Saquon Barkley and the Eagles, whether or not he can get back to what he once was at his peak. And hopefully he hasn't peaked. I mean, as a 49ers fan, politicking, I hope he peaked, but it's very likely that he hasn't. So anyways, Kaz, in all seriousness, Tennessee at Chicago, who you got?
Yeah. Chicago. I mean, I want to know, and we don't have to look this up right now, like, when's the last time Chicago has been favored by 4?
Right.
Like, how many years?
Right.
How many years has it been that Chicago has been favored by more than 2.5, even if they were favored? You know what I mean? So I think that 4-point swing is telling us something. The offense, I mean, come on, pretty much Caleb Williams, you were already NFL ready 2 years ago. You're in the NFL now. I've seen enough in 2 plays, 2 of his big highlights that I saw. I'm like, go out there, play confident football, win a pretty solid, okay-ish matchup for a team that's rebuilt. You know what I mean? Like, because the thing is, you don't want to look at a team like Chicago and go, oh, they have this guy, that guy, this guy. It doesn't matter. They still sucked last year. So, you can add all these players and it may not equate to much. It might.
Who was the quarterback? Do you remember? I forgot.
You know, the old boy from Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? But but no. So like, I think that, and I was high. Actually, funny story, quick one. I was actually high on Justin Fields. I was pro keep Fields, surround him with weapons, get Marvin Harrison Jr. alongside with DJ Moore. I was all on that, and DeAndre Swift. I was all for that because I thought Justin Fields still had a little bit of promise. But
give Justin a chance.
They went with Caleb. And I think he's the better quarterback, obviously. And
I gave him a chance. Shaun.
It's going to take a lot for Chicago to lose this game. It's going to take a lot more for Chicago to not cover this spread. So probably my easiest pick on this list, Chicago all day.
Toddy says that the Bears gave Justin Fields a chance when he was 20 yards in the backfield every single snap because he didn't have an O-line to even give the man a chance. But, you know, that's my Ohio State bias. My Ohio State bias is shining through strong. As we keep things moving, we got a couple of less significant games coming up. Well, maybe this one just because of
There's
one
a couple shit games on the slate.
Yeah, so we got New England at Cincinnati. I don't think there's much analysis that needs to be given here. Toddy got the Bengals. I got the Bengals. Kyle and Kaz, I would assume you guys.
Who's starting for for the Patriots? What's starting quarterback?
Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett is starting.
It's official now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a starter. Yeah.
Oh, I do want to add, I've said on this podcast several times, I want to watch one of the exciting things in this game for the rookies, the receiver rookies, Jaevon Baker, Jalen Polk. Those are the two guys I think will be better. They'll be better for the receiving core, but I don't think this team's going to be good.
I hope Jalen Polk is something because I picked him with my last pick in one of our fantasy. I think it was the Stats Over Politics League that I picked him last in. Kaz, you were going to say something else?
No, I was going to agree. Cincinnati all day. I don't really think we need to dive too deep into this one. I think the only way that the New England Patriots have a shot at this game is if somehow, some way, that offense finds a way to put up numbers because Joe Burrow and them boys.
Or Drake May plays.
Or either way, it doesn't. I mean, Jacoby Brissett might be sitting out after the first quarter, or after the first quarter ends. Who knows? He comes out those two picks. One's a pick six. They might say, screw it, get the kid in there. But regardless, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow.
Not
Tyler Boyd, but who they have running back now?
I forgot
Zach Moss, Chase Brown.
Zach Moss, Chase Brown.
I'm trying to remember the rookie's name they drafted for the Bengals.
I forgot Tyler Boyd was
gone.
But it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. Just come on. Just come on. Let's just call it what it is. Cincinnati all day, right? Right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Even with it being week one, I don't think
Jermaine Burton from Alabama, the Alabama receiver, that he is going to be a problem. He's basically going to be T. Higgins' replacement, but he is raw.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I'm glad that we were unanimous on this one because I think the only way for the Patriots to win this game is if 15 minutes before the game, Jacoby Brissett gets his lung punctured. So then Drake May has to go into the game a la Justin Herbert, Tyrod Taylor against the Chiefs in week 2, like 5 years ago. Or 4 years ago at least. But anyways, we all got the Bengals in this one. So the next game, this one is less of a toss-up. This one was also featured on the hotline. So Toddy, I'm going to start things off with you since you already gave some analysis for it, and that's Houston at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I got Houston in this game. I just think CJ Stroud is just on a trajectory. I have CJ Stroud winning the MVP this year. I'm very high on the Texans. I think this team is stacking because they know in the future they're going to have to give CJ Stroud $70 million, whatever the cap is in the next 2-3 years down the road when it's time to pay CJ. So they're stacking up for right now. I think they have one of the best rosters in the league. I'm going with the Texans in this game.
All right, Kyle, who you got?
I'm also going to take the Texans. They really showed what they could do last year, and they got nothing but better this offseason. So they're just going to do what they do. Especially to Indianapolis. I like AR a lot. I got him in probably like 4 out of my 6 fantasy leagues. So I think he's going to have a good year.
I had him last year and he got hurt.
But the first 4 weeks, 24 plus points every week. He was balling.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that's going to be enough. Especially with their wide receiver core. They got Pittman, Alec Pierce is all right. Josh Downs. I like Adonai Mitchell. Though. I do like.
They
him.
got a good receiving core. I like
Yeah,
their
I
offense.
do like him. Yeah.
Good, but young.
Exactly.
Good, but young. Definitely unproven, and so that's currently with my pick. I'm also going to go with the Houston Texans here. I'm not as high on them as Toddy is when it comes to C.J. Stroud winning MVP this year, even though he's my guy from Ohio State. But I definitely think that that Houston's going to win this game in Week 1 because it's a big rivalry matchup, and so that's kind of why I'm leaning back. And I've also been stalling for like 10 seconds as I tried to scroll backwards because I want to give a shout out to Grey Wolf, who said earlier, say his name and he appears. I believe in CJ Stroud. Not many people will understand that reference, but shout out to Joe Hendry, who had a great showing at NXT No Mercy yesterday, WWE reference. But, shout out to Grey Wolf for that one. So, Kaz, are you going to make it unanimous? I think Kevin's also going to go Houston here. But are you going to make it unanimous for all of us and go with Houston?
Nope. Going with Indy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Why? First off, I was just looking at the Ravens Houston playoff game, right? I get it, Lamar Jackson, but look at the stats here. I'm on your I'm on your show. Stats are politics. So I'm trying to do the right thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you make CJ Stroud throw the ball 44 times and completely abandon the run. He accounted for 9 points. All right. Now I get it. It's a playoff game. You're going against the Baltimore Ravens, who were at that time were probably, the Super Bowl hopeful behind the Kansas City Chiefs and the AFC. And I get that, but I don't think that the Indianapolis Colts are going to be some just rolled over and dice scrubs, and it's going to be as unanimous as everybody thinks it's going to be. You're in Indy, okay? Toddy already mentioned, you got Shane Steichen out there running the show, and Anthony Richardson's back, and that dude is a baller. That's why he got hurt, because he's a baller. He's a Josh Allen type, Cam Newton type baller. Okay, it's going to take CJ Stroud and also that offense clicking with all these new weapons. Anybody who knows anything about football, you can add a bunch of weapons to a team, but if they don't click, it don't really work out in their favor. There's not enough ball to go around. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think that Indianapolis at home is going to make a statement. This is, I think, the first upset I took on the list so far. But yeah, I'm going to go with Indy to win. I think that they're going to be well prepared. I think that Texans are going to show up and just kind of expect to put up, 40 plus points this game. That's exaggerating, obviously, but put up a ton of points and put them away. And I think that they're going to come out and punch the Texans in the mouth early and just secure the win. So I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts to pull off the upset at home. Without a doubt.
All right. I
Anthony
like
Richardson, baller game.
I like it when we're not unanimous, even though Cincinnati, New England, it kind of was. That's a gimme. Chicago and Tennessee less, but because of the Hopkins injury, that really kind of puts things in favor of Chicago. So now, guys, as we move on, we get to Jacksonville at Miami in the Battle of Florida. Kyle, where are you going in this matchup?
I don't think there's too much to say about this one. I think the Jags definitely regressed this year, even though they was the only person they really picked up was Gabe Davis. Yeah, you know how Miami's offense is. I think Devon A-Chain is going to be nothing but even better than last year. So I think Miami's definitely got this one pretty easily.
Devon A-Chain, gig 'em. Kaz, where are you going with this one?
Another upset. I think that I'm playing a dangerous game here, folks. I'm playing.
It's week one. It's week one.
Hear me out. It's week one. That's a big one. It is week one. All right. Miami at home. We're talking about Miami. This high-powered offense is only favored by 3.5 points. So it's not like what was it? Arizona Buffalo at Buffalo. They're favored by a touchdown. It's just 3.5 points. And the Jags are not supposed to be a good football team, right? They regressed a little bit. They lost Calvin Ridley. Trevor Lawrence is showing signs of being a bust, kind of, sort of. We don't really know yet, but we kind of know. I just think that there's going to be upsets, guys. There's going to be upsets. Yeah. We all know that. It's not going to go all favors winning. So with me taking this game, I'm just looking at the spread. I'm looking at the fact that it's Miami. I'm looking at the fact that I think people are overlooking the Jacksonville Jaguars early on because they still have ETN. They still have Evan Ingram. They still, right? He's still there, right? Ingram?
I think
Yes,
so.
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, and he was a top tight end in the league last year. So it's like you can't discredit all these things and just think that they're going to go out there and roll over and die. Their defense, they've showed signs like year after year of playing solid. One year they were really, really good a few years back, but like, I mean, it's not like they're just this incompetent team. They're just a team that hasn't really shown a lot of progression over the years. And they had the one season where they made the playoffs and they beat the Chargers, and that was pretty much the peak of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm just going on a whim here. I'm just going to take the upset. I think that there's something that Vegas knows that we don't, and that spread's a little bit too close for me. So I'm going Jacksonville to upset Miami on the road.
All right, Toddy, who you got in this matchup between Miami and Jacksonville?
I like Miami in this spot. Tua signed a new contract. I think this offense is pretty high powered early. The weather is pretty right for them, especially them being at home. Tua's probably going to put up pretty big numbers. I think this will probably be a higher scoring game. The over-under is at 50. I'm seeing right now. The spread is a little closer than I would like for it to be, as Kaz kind of mentioned. 3.5. I'm seeing 3 here. You could probably get 3.5 for a little bit better number. I do think Miami is the better team in this spot, but Jacksonville could probably put up points. I do like the addition of a Gabe Davis alongside of a Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. Still have ETN, and you also have Evan Ingram, who was one of the league leaders in catches last year. So their offense will definitely be able to put up points. I'm not sure how good their defense will be this year. I think Jacksonville will definitely take a step back. I think Miami wins, but I do think it'll be a high-scoring game.
All right, guys. Well, we have a couple of stinkers coming up, so let's keep these moving. Carolina at New Orleans with an NFC South battle. I'll start things off, and everything inside of me was telling me that Carolina pulls off the upset in this game. Like week 1, division matchup, all of these things were telling me that Carolina is going to win this game. But as you could see here on YouTube, I'm writing down all the picks for all the games. And as I got a little ahead and I wrote my pick for this game, my hand just wrote NO for New Orleans. So I'm going with the Saints. It's honestly a toss-up for me in this one. The Saints should be better. They have a good defense. Carolina is still very unproven, brand new head coach. And my gut is telling me that Carolina is going to win this game, but I guess my brain went with New Orleans because that's what my hand wrote out was the initials of New Orleans. So I'm going with the Saints in this one. Kyle, how about you?
I don't think there's not a whole lot to say about this one. I'm definitely going to agree and take the Saints just because I feel like whoever's really going to win, though, it's going to depend. It's like Derek Carr versus Bryce Young. So it's really what it comes down to. But
Toddy?
I think the Saints are definitely a better team.
Toddy, you look very unamused.
Give me the Panthers. I'm sick and tired of this fucking Saints team, bro. I can't do it. I can't do it. I like the additions from the Panthers. They add Xavier Legette from South Carolina, who I think is going to be a baller. You add Xavier Legette. His interviews are all time, every single time he touches the mic. They add Deontay Johnson. They still have Adam Thielen, who will be a really, really good number 3. I think Dave Canales will be able to elevate Bryce Young's play. The Saints team last year was just so god awful. Like I could not. It's hard to watch them play. Their roster is really good. Derek Carr is not good at football. So I mean, we could just go down the list for who they have on their team: Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Demario Davis, Honey Badger. They have Marshawn Lattimore. Like they have guys, like they have all pro guys on their team at pretty much every skill position. None of that shit matters if Derek Carr doesn't play well. So I mean, I'm just gonna go off the limb here, and they're plus 172. So I mean, you get a better value there at betting them. So I mean, yeah, give me the Panthers.
All right,
I
guys,
could be
who do
wrong.
you got?
Could be wrong.
Before I say who I got-
I don't think you're gonna be wrong.
Before I say who I got, I just want you guys to answer this for me. Valentine's Day is in what month?
February.
February.
Have you guys seen that? When he talks, what did he say? He says, I can't even say February. Hey,
It's definitely from the deep south.
Man, he's a national treasure. But no, I'm gonna roll with I got the Saints. I gotta see it first, Carolina. I gotta see it. I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Young shows up and says, "Hey, guess what? Fooled you
I'm
last
good
year.
again.
I'm actually
Yeah.
good." I wouldn't be surprised, but
Exactly.
I think that New Orleans defense is just a little bit too tout for them right now. Panthers are going to be probably getting better and better each year. I don't think that they drafted Bryce Young for nothing. They're prepared for them to surround him with some talent in the near future, but just not right now. New Orleans, just too much on both sides. So, going with New Orleans to win. Might be close because it is a division game, so y'all know how those games go. So it could be a close game, but I think that New Orleans, despite Derek Carr's potentially trashy performance, should get this win.
All right, so we got another stinker, but before we get there, I did want to highlight one comment that just came in from Jaevon where he says, Jonathan Brooks looks like a stud. I sure hope so, because I drafted him in one of my fantasy drafts yesterday and stashed him away because he's currently on the physically unable to perform list. But if he comes in, he looks like a stud, and he helps Bryce Young, then that is a huge W for the Carolina Panthers. Now we move on to what I deem to be another stinker, and that is the Minnesota Vikings at the New York Giants. Shout out to Wes, who is a noted Vikings fan. You got the matchup of former top 6 overall picks with Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones. So, Kyle, where are you going in this exciting matchup?
All right, I'm definitely a little biased on this one, just because a lot of my fantasy leagues I reached on Neighbors, probably drafted him anywhere from in one league the 3rd to the 5th round.
Wow.
I think he's gonna have over 1,100 yards this year. I think he's gonna be a guy, even with Daniel.
Is he better
Jones.
than Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yes. You've heard it here first. Yep.
I've consistently been on this podcast saying he's better than Marvin Harrison Jr. I get it. He has Daniel Jones as his quarterback, but coming out of college, if I had a choice to draft the two, I would have taken Malik Neighbors. But go ahead, I'll let you finish.
No, yeah, that's about it though. I feel like Sam Darnold. I mean, shit, you saw how he was on the Niners. He was all right, but like nothing crazy. I don't even with Justin. Well, he's gonna feed Justin Jefferson, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna be able to get that done.
I had to be. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off. I had to be a little dramatic there because Toddy has really been on this with Malik Neighbors, and as a noted Ohio State
You
fan.
get Malik Neighbors plus 150 to score a touchdown.
Sounds like a good bet. All right. Well, Toddy, Kyle has the G-men, as in the Giants, but who do you have in this matchup between the Vikings and the Giants, Toddy?
This is a classic Kaz grab a coin. I'm going to flip it. And that's
I got the coin out, man. The coin.
That's who I'm going to pick.
I got my coin out, man. I gotta pull it out before the season starts.
But no, I think the Giants are bad. I think they're really bad. Like you kind of saw the inside of it on the Hard Knocks episodes that they did on the off season. I think Minnesota's roster is really good. I like Hawkinson obviously starting on IR, but they still have Aaron Jones, who is a lot of people aren't really talking about the addition of him. I think Addison is suspended. Is he suspended for the first 3 games? I might be mistaken on that. They obviously have Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the league. He's at plus 130 to score a touchdown too. So I do like those odds. I think their team is better. I think their defense is solid. Dallas Turner on the defensive side of the ball, I think, is going to be the defensive rookie of the year. I like, even though they have basically a backup quarterback and Sam Darnold playing the starting quarterback, I do like the Vikings in the spot. They're minus 125 to win.
So, Toddy, to answer your question in regard to Jordan Addison, I don't think he's suspended because all I did was look up his name on X, and there were videos of him practicing this week, and it said that he should be ready to go.
Oh, if he's playing, yeah, that's good then. That's good news for the Vikings.
Yeah, all I can see is Jordan Addison, who's coming off an ankle injury, participated in practice this week. So it looks like all indications say that he's playing, because I know what you're alluding to, where he had a bit of legal troubles. And so Toddy's going with Minnesota. Kaz,
Minnesota!
who do you got in this game? I know you don't have the notorious coin, but who do you have in this one?
New York. I am going got New York. Oh man, like it's for some stupid reason, I just feel like Daniel Jones is going to have a really good game with McNeighbors. I don't know why. I do not know why.
The receiving core isn't bad.
Yeah. Oh no, they're not at all. You got McNeighbors, Jalen Hyatt, and then who's the other guy they got?
Wandale.
Wandale, yeah.
Robinson.
Fucking dog.
It's like, dude, like it's not bad. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like, the problem is we're blessed in this era of football to see these crazy receiving cores. We forget about regular good receiving cores. Like you take out Daniel Jones and you put in Caleb Williams. Put in Caleb Williams in New York. Does that change that entire offense?
Absolutely.
Think about that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, all Daniel Jones has to do, brother, is just play like an NFL quarterback. We don't need anything heroic from you, dog. And I think they're going to be at home. They got blown out badly last year, week 1. I was in Vegas, watched this game by the Cowboys. You guys remember that? It was bad.
Oh yeah,
it was like 40 to 0. It's like I mean, just bent over, bro. I don't think that can't happen again. And I think that Brian DeBall might be on a little bit on the hot seat. So it's like 2 years ago, Coach of the Year. Last year, looked like dog shit. And I mean, you guys made the bonehead decision to sign Danny Dimes to a contract, which is crazy, seeing the quarterback potential in college that was coming around. And you go, no, Daniel Jones is the guy. You got to show something for it. So I think that this is a winnable game at home for New York. I think that they just somehow they get it clicking on offense, and I think that just the experienced quarterback play kind of wins them this game. So even though I don't like Daniel Jones, he's in our division. I don't really care for the Giants. It don't bother me because when have they ever been a problem in relevant years? For my Eagles, it is what it is. But I think that Daniel Jones just somehow, some way plays solid. I'd probably take his rushing yards for sure. He's going to be running for dear life. So take his rushing over without a doubt, and 100% take Malik Neighbors to get in that end zone. And I don't think it's going to take much to beat this Minnesota Vikings team. So Jay Jettis might get, 120, 160 yards receiving. He may not find the end zone, and that's going to be pretty much it for the Vikings. So, yep, going with the Giants.
So as Jay Vox said on our YouTube comments, Vikings should win. That's basically the same mindset that I'm using to make my pick. The Vikings should win. Sam Darnold is trying to prove that he is still a starting quarterback, or not still, but it's not the Pastronaut. I think it might be Jaron Hall, because the Pastronaut is a member of the 49ers now. So yeah, I can't even give you an honest answer, but Sam Darnold is trying to prove that he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Still hasn't really done that, so he's trying. Unlike Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson has just accepted being a backup, versus Sam Darnold is still trying to be a starter in the NFL. The J.J. McCarthy injury obviously helps him out a lot with that, by ending the race that there was between the two of them in terms of who will start. Vikings should win. I'm going to go with Jay Vox here, and I'm going to pick the Vikings because they should win. But this is also week 1, so I feel very similarly to my last pick of picking the Saints, where it's like the Saints should win. Will they? Because it's week 1, probably not. Vikings should win. Will they? Because it's week 1, they probably won't. It's the Giants, but I'm going to stick with what my gut is telling me here. So that's New Orleans and now Minnesota. Guys, moving on to our last 6 games that we got here in week 1. Now we're going to the West Coast as we have the AFC West between the Las Vegas Raiders at the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And as we know, Raider Nation always infiltrates LA, and they basically turn it into their own home game. And so, Kyle, who do you got in this matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers?
All right. First off, hold on, I got a question. Is Herbert starting? Is he playing? Is he good?
He's questionable.
He's questionable, but he's going to start. I think he starts.
I would imagine he plays.
Okay.
He's been practicing.
I think for surely if he starts, I think it's going to be a better game than people think. I think the Raiders are honestly pretty slept on. They got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, pretty good receiving core. They pick up Brock Bowers. Zamir White is going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem. He's the only running back they got, and he runs hard as hell. I think the Raiders are going to take this one by storm. I'm going to take the Raiders.
All right.
I like it.
Another upset. Here we go.
Toddy, who do you got? Raiders or Chargers?
Like he was kind of mentioning, I do like the Raiders offense. I do like Jacoby Myers. I like pretty much their whole entire team. They have Gardner Minshew at quarterback. They have Aiden O'Connell's backing them up. I do think the addition of Jim Harbaugh is going to be night and day for the Chargers, especially with Justin Herbert. I get that they lost a lot in their receiving core. I think Lab McConkey is going to be a guy that a lot of people are going to be put on notice about. And I think the Chargers defense is actually really good. They got a lot of great names. Bosa and Khalil Mack, and obviously Derwin James on the back end. I like the Chargers in the spot, so give me Jim Harbaugh getting his first win back in the NFL.
All right, Kaz, who you got, Raiders or Chargers?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's decently high scoring. But I'm gonna roll with the Chargers. With the new coach there, Harbaugh. Now they took the entire Baltimore Ravens backfield, added them there, so they have veterans in the backfield. I understand that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but if you think about it, I mean, Gus Edwards did not play bad. He found the end zone quite a bit. No problem with the Ravens. When Dobbins comes back, I mean, who knows? But this is the first time that Justin Herbert in that offense has had true ground and pound running backs. Eckler he's a receiving back. You know what I mean? He loves to stay outside of tackles. Now they just changed everything and they got running backs that can run inside the tackles. Okay, and Gus Bus, I mean, he lives there. He has no problem there. So I think that the Chargers' run game's a little slept on. I think that if Justin Herbert does start, which he should, he doesn't need much to get by. You guys understand that this guy has put up massive amounts of yards with an aging Keenan Allen. I'm not trying to knock Keenan Allen. He's a good receiver, but he's not some guy who's just going to he ain't going to outrun anybody. He's not going to, moss anybody. He's just an amazing route runner that can get open, and he'll get his yards, he'll get his catches. So Justin Herbert hasn't really needed much since he's been in the league to get the job done through the air. So hopefully Quentin Johnston shows up as he should. My Lord, he's not. He's on like the Kyle Pitts trajectory, bro. So we'll see, but hopefully he shows up and can help give Herbert some help. But outside of that, I don't really think that. I don't know. I don't think the Chargers should have a problem. I think that if anything, manage the clock and win a hard fought game. But I think it's going to be decently high scoring, and the Chargers sneak away with a very close win. I think that the Raiders cover though, so probably a 1-point game.
As Jaevon said, another good comment. QB for Raiders is the downfall, and unfortunately, Josh McDaniels didn't want C.J. Stroud, and so now rather than having C.J. Stroud, they're left with just a huge question mark at the position. I got the Chargers in this one. I think Herbert plays, and the Harbaugh era has begun. So now, guys, as Matt Barnes likes to say on All the Smoke, as we have surpassed the 2-hour mark of today's podcast, for these last 5 games, we're going to do it in quick hitter fashion. So we'll just name the game, get our picks, and then we'll get up on out of here. And so, Kyle, the next game is involving your squad. And the thing I wanted to mention earlier that I alluded to is that the Seahawks are going to be wearing these beautiful, I hate the Seahawks, they are going to be wearing these beautiful throwback jerseys from the 90s with their retro colors. And so just wanted to shout that out. But Kyle, the Seahawks, they host the Broncos. So who you got?
Definitely just got the Seahawks. We're just way more of a complete team.
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah, we are. Look at our receivers. As much
Who's
as I don't
quarterback?
even like Geno Smith. All right, don't talk about Geno Smith. We're not going to talk about Geno Smith. Sam Howell will be starting quarterback after week 6.
Ooh.
But I think
All
a big
right.
step up from Jackson Smith and
Sidestep.
No, big step. Huge step forward from Jackson Smith.
The Ohio State University. Vaughn, who do you got in this one?
I guess Seattle should win. They're favored by 6. I don't know if they cover that number. But I mean, hey, they should win. They're minus 250 to win. I wouldn't take that number, but I mean, is what it is. I guess Seattle wins. I guess.
Kaz, with the Seahawks and the Broncos, who you got?
Yeah, I took Seattle. They're at home, and I'm high on their secondary. I love Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon. I told you guys this last week about how I feel Tariq Woolen's going to finish as a CB in the NFL, a top 3 CB. So, yep, Seattle all day. I just think they have the more complete team, and we'll see if Denver is taking a step forward or not based off this game. So,
I think
Seahawks.
Bo Nix is going to surprise a lot of people in this game.
I think he will, but I think he
think
will,
our,
but I think they still lose.
I think our D-line is going to give Bo Nix hell.
Well, earlier, Gray Wolf and I were on the same page when it came to Joe Hendry, and Gray Wolf says, Broncos country, I ride and die with my team. Broncos country, let's ride. I got the Denver Broncos winning this game.
Let's go,
Here
Shaun.
comes the upset. Here comes the upset. I got the Broncos winning this game. We'll find out who Kevin has in this matchup later on. So we got Tom Brady's first game in the announcer's booth with Dallas at Cleveland. Kyle, who you got?
Dallas at Cleveland. This one might end up being a little closer than people probably expect, but I think the Cowboys should be able to take care of the Browns. The Browns got a great defense, but I think the Cowboys offense should be able to take care of them.
All right, Jaevon, who you got?
I got the Browns. I love the Browns in this spot. The Cowboys aren't good against playoff teams. Last time I checked, Cleveland was in the playoffs last year. This game was almost on the hotline, as Uncle Manny comments, "Let's go Cowboys." Yeah, bad spot for them. I think Kyle kind of mentioned the defense. I think the defense the Cleveland defense is one of the best defenses in the league, in my opinion. I think Dak's going to have some problems with that D line. So yeah, give me the Browns.
Javox says, I got Browns 2, Vaughn. Make that 3. I got Cleveland, the reigning defensive player of the year. Myles Garrett, give me the Cleveland Browns. As Cordell says, Browns probably win, and that's even coming from a Steelers fan. But Kaz, who do you got in this one?
The Cowboys are going to win this game, but I'm taking the Browns to win. Nope. I'm taking the
Politics.
Browns to win,
Love it.
The Cowboys are going to win, but I'm taking the Browns to win because I'm tired of seeing the Cowboys be just even in the mix. I want them to be so bad. I want them to be terrible. I hope they get rolled by 50. I want them just to get annihilated. I want them just to be pulverized into the ground so badly by this Browns team that can do it. But for some reason, they'll find a freaking way to just squeak off a stupid win. Probably Dak Prescott throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb for a touchdown within 1 minute to go, or something stupid, and then we got to listen to Cowboys talk for like 7 more weeks. So,
Zeke's not the starting running back. Who's the starting running back?
Rico Dowdle, I think.
Yeah.
I don't even know, but it doesn't matter. I'm taking the Browns to win, but the Cowboys are going to win. Browns will win.
All right.
Sorry for the confusion.
It's okay. I would imagine that Kevin is going to probably provide a similar analysis, as he probably knows the Cowboys are going to win, but he's picking Cleveland. So final three. We got Washington at Tampa Bay. Jaevon, who you got?
Give me the Durs. I'm high on Jaden Daniels and the Durs this year.
I knew that was coming.
I do think they're plus 140 to win. I do think the Bucks are going to be a tough out in that division. Obviously, they re-signed Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Another guy to watch out for in this game is Bucky Irvin. I think he'll be a really good addition to this offense. Running back out of Oregon from last year, so he's a rookie. But I think the Commanders, Jaden Daniels is going to turn that franchise around. So give me the Commanders to win.
All right, Kyle, who you got?
I'm definitely going to go a different direction with this one. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I like Baker Mayfield a lot, actually. And now he gets another year throwing to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I think he's going to put up numbers again.
Baker Mayfield. Give me Tampa Bay. Kaz, who you got in this one?
Washington.
Let's go.
Ooh, yeah, Washington. I don't know, man. I feel like nobody's talking about Jaden Daniels really. I'm like, why not? Like, look at his weapons. He's got Terry McLaurin there. He's got a good veteran presence. I think that he might even show up and play better than Baker Mayfield. I'm not trying to hate on Baker Mayfield, but I just think that I think Washington's they're taking small, significant steps forward, though. You know what I mean? They're not just doing what New York Giants are doing. They're toying with some things. So I think that Washington pulls off this upset, man. So yeah, Washington all day.
I love that comment.
Man.
Read it real quick for the audio only listeners. Jaevon.
So Grey Wolf says the cycle of Mayfield is in effect.
It certainly is. As well as J-Vox says, Evans is guaranteed 1,000. I mean, one of the most consistent NFL players of all time. That's why he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Final two games, starting out with Sunday Night Football. We got a rematch from the playoffs last year.
Pay for Sunday night. Can't wait.
Who you got, Jaevon?
Give me the Lions. They'll probably cover the spread too. The spread's 3.5. I don't know what the Rams will be this year. I think they regressed a little bit, even though they get Cooper Kupp back. But they did lose one of the greatest defensive line in history, in Aaron Donald. So would like to see what they look like. I think they got Jared Verse from Florida State in the draft. It's a little bit undersized, but Aaron Donald was undersized. Not saying that he's Aaron Donald, but they would like to see not much too bad of a drop off with this rookie. But I think Matt Stafford's going to go out. He's going to sling it. But I just think the Lions, their team, they're one of the best teams in the league. So give me the Lions to win.
Kyle, these are two teams that will be in front of or fighting with the Seahawks and the Niners for positioning in the NFC playoff picture. Who you got with the Rams at Detroit?
Seahawks playoff picture.
So I think it's definitely going to be a high-scoring game. I'm leaning more towards Detroit just because I like their defense a little bit more. He also did say that Aaron Donald retired. I know they got a couple young guys on their D-line now. They got Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, who are looking promising. So I really just think if the Rams can bottle up the run, I think they have a shot. But otherwise, I got the Lions.
Kaz, who you got in this one so far? That's 2 for 2 on Detroit.
I think Matthew Stafford's going to carve him up. I think Puka Nacua is going to carve him up. I think Cooper Kupp's going to carve him. I think that Kyle Williams is going to carve him up. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Both quarterbacks are going to get their numbers, man. And if Goff doesn't get his numbers, Jahmyr Gibbs he's going to find the end zone, or he's going to be the X factor. But I think that the one with the Super Bowl ring gets the dub in this matchup. So I'm going with Matthew Stafford to lead the way and pull off the upset on the road against Detroit.
Yeah, everything about this matchup had me torn because Detroit got their lick back on Stafford last year in the playoffs. They were able to advance. But Matthew Stafford, I feel like he is going to want that revenge now, especially after seeing the Lions go on to the NFC Championship game. But, I mean, kind of same deal as earlier with me writing down New Orleans when I was thinking Panthers. My gut wrote down Detroit. So I'm sticking with Detroit, but I agree with Kaz that Matt Stafford could have a bit of a revenge game of sorts in this one. It could easily go either way, but I'm going to go with Detroit. Final game, Monday Night Football. Jaevon, I'm getting to you last because we know where you and I are picking. Kyle, as the Seahawks fan, Jets at 49ers, Monday Night Football, the return of Aaron Rodgers. Who are you going with?
I'll just say I'm definitely a Niners hater, but you guys should win this one. You guys should take this one. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think, though, for sure, because the Jets' defense is good. You got a healthy Aaron Rodgers for the first time throwing to Garrett Wilson. I think it's going to be a good game for sure.
All right, Kaz. The Niners are obviously a big rival of the Eagles at this point. Are you going to politic, or are you going with the Niners?
I'll take Niners. Yeah, I mean they're at home. They're gonna be coming at Aaron Rodgers like a bat out of hell. So they're gonna try to take him out of the game early, and I think that the Niners offense is going to just not have a problem scoring against that Jets defense. Nothing against the Jets defense. I just think that the Niners offense are going to get a lot of opportunities because the Niners defense is going to be forcing the Jets to turn the ball over a lot. So, yep, Niners will get more opportunities to score than the Jets, and that will help them secure the win.
I think Jay Vox said it perfectly, so I'll just read his comments. 49ers all day. Niners will beat Aaron Rodgers. ... Again. I got the Niners. Jaevon, I think you do too.
I mean, the Niners are the last pick of the hotline, baby. Bring us home. Niners cover the spread at 3.5. I think it's going to be a rocking game. One of my good friends is going to the game. He's a Jets fan, so he's gonna. I saw he posted that he like bought a ticket to the game, and I was like, buying a ticket to watch your team lose is diabolical. But yeah, Niners win. Trent Williams will be back in this game too.
I sure hope so. So before we get up out of here, Kyle, I just want to say thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. Any final thoughts?
No, I just appreciate you guys having me on the show. It was a fun time.
Yeah, and you are gonna go down in Stats Over Politics Fantasy this year. You're in 6 leagues. We're gonna catch you sleeping in ours.
I don't know. I like my team in our league especially.
All right, we shall see, and we appreciate you for joining us. Kaz, any final thoughts?
Nah, man, I'm ready to get this show on the road, bro. I'm ready.
Football's
Jalen Hurts MVP season pending. Eagles #1 seed.
Oh, it's gonna be hell on
Super Bowl,
Monday
bro.
if the Packers win on Friday.
There is no way. There's no way. There's no way. So, yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm just ready to see the Eagles play really well. And to be honest with you, I'm ready to see the Cowboys suck significantly this year. So, good season for me pending. Let's do it.
Toddy, final thoughts from the Podfather.
I hope we go 6-0 on the hotline this week. Let's go, baby. Go Niners.
Go Niners. We could bring the hotline to a stellar 9-1, but hey, even if it's 4-2, another week above 500 is a good week after week, because that's winning money. And so that's going to do it for episode number 111 of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. If you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics, and on X at Stats or Politics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode 111 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon, Kevin, Kaz, and Kyle, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Oh, programming note. With the NFL season starting, we have pushed back our recording time going forward 90 minutes till after Monday Night Football has concluded. So we will see you all next Monday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10:30 for Kaz out in Iowa. We appreciate you, Kaz. And we will see you all next week on another episode of Stats Over Politics. Peace out.
Peace.